we are back with the MMMTG podcast. Back after an even longer hiatus than the last time. We do apologize, as life does get in the way sometimes. We do this for no monetary benefit of our own, so our own life things do sometimes get in the way. But we do love what we do, so we are back, and we're going to be a lot more consistent. And as we're going to roll into the content here, we are going to show that we've improved just a little bit. But before all that, I am Miles, Mr. Miles of MMMTG, and I'm here with my associates.
Finally.
I.
Oh, last time you were hello, this time you're I. So I guess we're getting somewhere. Maybe one day you'll say your name. But yeah, I the first thing on our itinerary is just to explain why we're gone. In the summer I had a lot of work to do, and but we're back. So without too much ado, what we are planning in the future of this channel: more gameplay, more podcasts, now some arena gameplay, and generally just we're upgrading our content all the time. Hopefully, making stuff that's a little bit more interesting to watch, improving every day. Hopefully, it's better for all you people watching, and we do appreciate it. Our first improvement that I'd like to talk about. Our new microphone is the Blue Yeti. Is very superior to our previous microphone, which, if you couldn't tell before, was just my phone. Thanks to Mr. T. I don't know if you want us to say your full name, so thank you very much if you're listening. We do appreciate you letting us use this valuable microphone. I also have a new laptop, which is much more powerful. Have access to. We have some superior editing. Adobe Premiere and such like that. So we're going to be doing, hopefully, much better content in the future. Look out for that. That is thank. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
That is thanks to the good people at Darkside Games. We do appreciate it very much. I hope there wasn't any audio reverberation there or echo, because I think I had the headphones pretty close to the mic. So if you guys heard some weird noises there or a little bit of echo, that is totally my fault. Anyway, continuing with our intro, I do have to say, this is a little bit of a boo-boo on our part. Before we left, we owed a certain podcast a shout-out, the Fighting Spirit podcast. I believe they gave us a shout-out. Thank you so much. We appreciated it. We promised each other shout-outs because he's a very good person running the Fighting Spirit, and we were going to shout out in the next episode we made, and then we had to go on our hiatus before that happened. So it has been quite a while, but please go check out the Fighting Spirit if you're into MMA and fight analysis. It's so bad, it's been so long. But there's that.
The Lost Podcast.
We also want to mention the Lost MMMTG podcast, because we did actually try to bring you guys content, all you 21 subscriber listeners at this point. We were trying to film, anytime we could. We were actually on a car ride, and it just, the podcast did not turn out well. If you're interested in hearing that content, I apologize. We did kind of scrap it. It was kind of getting in the way of us doing some other projects. So we apologize for the long hiatus yet again. The podcast that we did make, the last episode, was just going over Core 19, or Core 20, my apologies, and our analysis of that. If you do want us to talk about that, let us know, and we can go back and do a little segment on our next podcast talking about our opinions on Core 19, things like that.
You said 19 again.
Well, if you do want us to hear our opinions on Core 19, we could tell you that. I actually think Core 19 is pretty great. You guys remember Vivian Reed?
Yeah,
that's pretty good. I think I liked Vivian Reed the most in Core 19. What did you like the most in Core 19?
I like Knuckle Bolas.
Nickelback. He likes Nickelback.
You like Nickelback?
Yeah, man.
Look at this photograph. Wow.
Don't know, I'm also just trying to remember cards off the top of my head besides Crucible Worlds.
I like Crucible Worlds. That's pretty good.
I like Basic Force.
I disagree. That was our next level analysis of Core 19. Speaking of the Core 20, the actual recent set.
Genius.
It's very good. We'll talk about that another time if anybody's interested. But since that last episode, or lost episode, Brawl has come out. Also, before that, Commander 2019 came out to great success. Both of those were actually really great products. I'm still thinking that our core 19 now. We're a little bit late for that. You know what we should do? Every episode we should just analyze sets in like reverse order. Not just like the sets that are coming out. Like, hey, what is our thoughts on this on the spoilers? Like, nah. Let's look at the spoiler page for
Alpha.
For Alpha. Like, what giant growth? Like who designed this card? It's too good. Like, oh, Healing South, that's where it's at. But anyway, what are you guys' thoughts on the Brawl decks? Because we're not actually going to use them as a topic for this episode, so if you want to say anything about the Brawl or Commander decks that came out, you could talk about them now.
Honestly, I haven't even really looked at them because I have been so disinterested. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're cool decks, but at the same time, it's not something I really am looking into keeping up with because it's just essentially another rotating format. I mean, I'm already doing standard. I don't want to have to do kind of rotational commander.
So you're talking mainly about Brawl, right? Not the Commander decks.
Yeah.
So you're not a big fan of them?
I mean, they're cool. There's some cards that I really enjoy from them. I mean, like the Arcane Signet is just really good.
Oh, for sure. I think that's what they were putting to push the product, right? It's crazy. I saw because if you are not coming to us from that avenue, we do have an Instagram page, MMMTG 278. Post a lot of memes there. That's probably where most people know us in that avenue. But on that page, I do follow a lot of other ones, and there's this page, MTG Wuhan. It's a province in China, some sort of I think the actual name of the store is Planeswalker, just Planeswalker Games or something like that. But they have so many. I just saw they posted they got like over like 100 copies of Arcane Signet. It's like of the Brawl decks, it seems that a lot of the stores are just cracking open them just to grab that stuff because I don't know, maybe they don't trust Brawl as a format. Seems that Wizards is pushing it, but there's definitely some cards in there that are pretty good, like the Arcane Signet, and there was I think the one commander or the two commanders are actually going to be used outside of it, like the fairy one and the what was the one that draws cards? Chilune or
Chillane
or something like that.
Teller Tales.
I think both of those are actually going to be good in real Commander, but Brawl as a format, I don't know. It might go the way of Frontier or similar formats. What was the other one? The half one. Tiny Leaders. Tiny Leaders.
Yeah.
If you're
We did that.
Tiny
once.
Leaders is a different beast, mainly because all it took was just learning. What was it? Geisting Trap was the best thing you could do.
Oh yeah, I remember. It's an amazing story. We were back at a different store back then, a different LGS, Mana Forge Games. For all you OGs out there, rest in peace. But there was a guy who used to come in, I remember, and that was what sealed the deal for Brawl or Tiny Leaders for him was he had that top tier Geese of St. Trap deck. And he had it in like a Fat Pack box. And the Fat Pack box back then, I don't know if you guys remember, they didn't have the same design as they do now, and they would sometimes break cards on the edge. And he destroyed his Geist of St. Traft. He was very sad, and then didn't play it anymore. And then shortly after, nobody played that format anymore. That is my main concern about Brawl, though, is people.
I mean,
like if you invest all into it, you buy the precons, and then people don't have it anymore. It's kind of tough to make that sort of investment.
if anything, I mean, I'll say helpful for the format in general. The cards in there are pretty creative. The commanders are pretty good. I know a lot of people are excited for the Knight deck, the new Knight Commander. People are interested in that. I mean, I feel like it's a good like jumping point too, I guess, because you can either buy the Commander deck or you can do a Brawl deck if you're playing Standard. And you want to try and take one of those commanders and just transform it from Brawl to actual Commander.
Do you guys play Arena at all?
I do not have the time, sadly.
Okay, but were you there for the? They did an event where you could play the Brawl decks before they came out. Did you do that?
I did not, but I heard about it.
Did you do that, friend?
I don't even start up my laptop anymore.
All right. Well, I was around for that, and I actually thought the format it seemed all right, but I think it's going to suffer a lot of the same problems that Tiny Leaders did. Is that once somebody finds whatever Geist of St. Traft for this format is a good chance of people running away with it. But who knows? They seem to be doing a pretty good job of getting people's attention, at least. There is that other alternative one. What's that one? Oathbreaker? No, Oathbreaker. What's the other format?
Well, you're right, Oathbreaker.
Yeah.
Where it's the Planeswalker as the commander.
Is it only a Planeswalker?
It's you run a Planeswalker as your commander, and then they have a signature spell.
Okay.
So something related to it, whatever you want. So you can have Gideon, you can have Armageddon.
What?
Or you can have Gideon and what was the other one?
And that's not limited to new cards. It's just a commander format, alternative commander.
It's a 60 card deck.
60 card deck, Planeswalker commander.
You have the Planeswalker, and then you have signature spells, so you can have like Time Warp or something like that if you're running like Narset. So it's the same concept, if anything.
Do you think this is getting more like community support versus Brawl? I think a genuine opinion of Brawl is actually very poor, but everything I've seen, at least online, looking at the social media, people are actually starting to like Oathbreaker, even though not too many people are talking about it. Like, do you think that this has a better chance of surviving versus Brawl?
I mean, Oathbreaker has the appeal because it's not rotating per se. Because when you think of Brawl 2, it's like, okay, eventually I'll have to change cards in and out. For Oathbreaker, it's almost like another commander, but it's smaller. So I hear that the games are a little faster because you're only running 60 card decks, and a lot of the power cards, or like a lot of the ramp, I think is banned, I believe. So like Soul Ring's not legal. Mana Crypt, Mana Crypt, and Mana Vault aren't, I think.
Okay. So it's like Commander a little bit more involved.
Yeah.
On people actually trying to make the format more balanced. That's a weird slippery slope though, because people, especially for Commander, whenever they ban stuff, like someone's like, "Oh, why you ban this when you could have banned this?" Or, well, you know what I mean?
I don't know but I don't know because you can still play dirty. I know because some people play the new Narset Parter Veils, and then they'll just run Windfall as their signature spell.
Yeah, that's actually that's pretty tough. It's like having probably one of the best cards in Narset just always available.
Yeah, but I mean, when you do it like that, people know who to target.
Yeah.
Like they'll try and kill you before you do that.
Well, actually, speaking of Narset Parter Veils, got the sweet Weeb Narset playmat right here in front of me. We have actually, if you guys watch our live content, we have some sweet new playmats. If you're looking out for that, didn't mean to interrupt you, sir, but
Go ahead,
I like to plug
fine.
our content. I like a little bit of cross promotion.
I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, like I was saying, I was curious what you guys thought about this format. Friendly, what do you think Oathbreaker is going to last longer than Brawl, or Brawl is going to last longer than Oathbreaker? Or they're both going to die tomorrow.
I feel like, I mean, they'll die eventually. But
You never know.
well, like Brawl, it's like I feel like they're pushing too hard for it. They don't let people like have their own opinions of it. It's like
I think one of the problems with that is the issue is the timing. Is I think originally they were going to release Brawl with these new Brawl decks, and it was going to be a surprise, but they accidentally released the format previously, so people already had a chance to hate it. And then now it seems like they're trying to shove it down our throats when in reality this was actually supposed to be like some big launch. But I can see what you're saying. Like it's almost like a failure to launch, right? They tried really hard to make us like it at this point.
High.
I mean,
Do you think Arena is going to help it like increase its longevity?
I'm sure people will try it and realize they don't like it.
Whoa. Bold statement.
And
Bold
then
statement.
with Oathbreaker, I don't know. It's having a Planeswalker and a spell attached to your like command zone.
I think.
Whatever. It kind of feels broken, but I mean.
If everybody's broken, then
Yeah,
everybody's
exactly.
overpowered,
If everybody's
overpowered,
overpowered,
right?
nobody is. I guess.
We just have to wait for the format to get solved a little bit, so
Yeah.
that everybody can play the more competitive versions.
but-
it's okay. Everyone.
Hopefully, it doesn't go for too long.
It's like one of the formats you just main deck. What is it called? Sorcerer Spyglass, Pithy Needle. Just
Main deck Pilling Needle, huh?
yeah.
I guess that doesn't help you against the Narset deck, though. Too powerful.
That
Too
is
powerful.
true.
So it's only Planeswalkers, right? You can't have a creature.
You can't have a creature, but you get that Planeswalker, but you have the signature spell, but you only could cast that signature spell if you have your Planeswalker. So that's why it's like
Incentivizes you not to
Still.
play more expensive Planeswalkers, because then you're kind of at a 2-card disadvantage from other players. Yeah, it's pretty tough. I can see people playing a lot of decks like Teferi or the 3-drop Teferi in the Narset.
Yeah, but that's why too, because it's like you can run those powerful Planeswalkers, but you also don't have all that normal ramp like you do in Commander, so you don't have all those artifacts, those mana rocks. So like you're kind of playing at everyone else's pace, I believe. So you don't have all the like really fast mana rocks.
Do they have access to the Arcane Signet? The new one?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, stuff like that. It's fine, but it's like not like the Mana Vault, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, I believe.
Anything that makes.
I mean, I should just
Anything that like turn 1 or 0 will push you to turn 3.
Yeah, I believe that's the case because they are 60 card decks. I have to double check to make sure I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're We didn't do too much preparation for this. I actually didn't even plan to talk about Oathbreaker. It is something that came up kind of naturally. We just did. Anyway, I don't want our intro segment to be too long. So, without further ado, we're going to move into news. That's something that we like to do at the beginning of each of these podcasts. I just tried to use a mouse, the wireless mouse, to scroll down on my phone.
Nice.
That's the news, man.
The news is...
the news is you going insane.
Wow, okay, cool. Yeah, that's the first segment of the news. Apparently, I'm insane.
Wee.
I think maybe, I don't know if I'm going to remember this, but in the editing, we might add a little intro music, like MMMTG news. Or I just leave that, I don't know.
Or you just start with local Florida man.
Local Florida man bought all the collector's edition booster packs. Opened them, felt bad. Felt bad. The card stock was bigger than the other cards, and they can't play with them.
He was like, "This looks pretty, but it's useless."
Oh, lost lots of money. Hasbro stocks up 12 points. Actual news. We're gonna roll the clock back just a little bit. We can't roll the clock back all the way back to what happened since our last episode because that's quite a bit. But we will talk about modern unbannings, and I like to hand the floor over to our modern expert, Mr. Angel, or actually I suppose. Would you like to lead the way on our modern unbannings?
Yeah. So I believe this was after GP Vegas, August. Let me pull this up. Let's see. GP, I believe, was the 23rd, 24th, 25th, around that time.
Okay, we don't need to be too accurate.
Or I don't know. Well, in August, GP Vegas happened, and everyone knew what was going to happen, which was just Hogak just coming out of nowhere.
Wee!
Who knew?
Wee!
Who knew Turn 2 8-8 would get banned?
I would have never guessed
Nobody
it.
could have seen that coming, alright?
I would have never guessed that.
But along with Hogak, Hogak seemed to drag its faithless looting with it.
That's interesting.
Faithless.
Why do you think they did that? I mean, I just don't know enough about Modern to
They
touch
don't have
on
enough faith.
Shut up. Dude.
Well, to be fair, it's like faithless looting has been a problem to begin with, mainly because one of the things that everyone's been noticing too is like all the decks recently that have just been top 18 have just all been running like faithless looting. It's always been a trend. So like for example, like Arclight Phoenix, that thing is just pretty efficient.
Delicious.
Because you can just get
So the problem wasn't necessarily the power of faithless looting. It's just the ubiquitousness. Is that like it's just the same reason why?
It's the efficiency because it lets you keep more hands that you really shouldn't, honestly, because you can get away with the
reliably loot 2 4
because the thing is it's like I feel like if there was a card like Faithless Looting but that lets you discard 2 then draw the cards, it would be at least somewhat better. But the fact that Faithless Looting lets you draw the 2 cards first and then discard just lets you essentially just like try and like sculpt your hand a bit, I guess, or it's like make it so that you can get what you really want. And it also helps like those graveyard decks. Because you can just draw 2. It's like, okay, I found a graveyard piece. They're like something that I need to go in the graveyard. Get it back.
And then you do it again.
I'll do it again. We might put a meme up there. But did this destroy the Hollow One deck? I know people weren't playing it too much, but did this just wreck Hollow One and Arclight? Are those?
Arclight, I believe it's. I haven't been paying attention as much, but I have been watching the prices because I do watch like some videos that goes over the pricings. I think it's almost like at $10 now a piece. So it's been slowly going down because it's not as good as it was.
Okay.
Because being able to get them into the graveyard like turn 1 is just
it's crazy. Like
it's just
how
so good. Such
a staple of Modern for so many years. It's just gone.
I mean,
that's right after they brought back Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Jace, that's not that good anymore.
I mean,
Faithless Looting? Nah. Gitaxian Probe? Not that. I mean, obviously they have their reasons, but it's just fun to think about it in that perspective.
Hollow One is not hollow.
Hollow One?
Even more hollow.
He's even hollower in his heart. All he has left is the goblins and their stories.
Goblins and
when you think about it too, it's like one of the other decks that benefited the most is like Dredge.
Benefited from or the removal of?
Or like, what was it? Dredge was just so good, especially with Faithless Looting, because you just throw away whatever you want to dredge next turn.
Okay. I think didn't they ban something else before? They banned I think Bridge from Below.
They
And
brand
then they didn't hit Hogak hard enough, and then they were like, okay, now we gotta actually get rid of Hogak.
The Bridge made it. Was it? They got rid of Bridge because they wanted to hit the deck without hitting Hogak because they would. I guess I assume it's just because they don't want to impact the sales from Modern Horizons.
For sure.
So it's like you want to sell those packs.
Well, we had tons of people out at the at our store that were like, oh, there's no way they're gonna ban Hogak. They just printed it. They're gonna ban all this other stuff, and eventually they're like, nah, we're just gonna ban it.
That's not what I remember.
Yeah, I mean,
Treasure Cruise.
Yeah. Oh.
But you can't just keep banning cards around it. You just gotta get rid of the problem.
I want to go back on the cruise.
To be fair, though,
This guy's somewhere else right now.
no,
Too
stop.
much salt from Treasure Cruise being banned, and that is a much more powerful card than Hogak. It's just an ancestral recall. It's just an ancestral recall. That's it. It's like go play.
Take me back to the cruise.
Take me back on the treasure boat. I like how we just got totally derailed by
The
Fernley's
cruise.
cruise. There's a whole lot of salt from way back when. But there was some key unbannings. If you want to touch on that.
Yeah. So one of the other key unbanning was Stoneforge Mystic.
Woo!
Hey, back into Modern. Actually, was it even allowed in the first place? I don't think it actually made it into Modern.
I couldn't tell you honestly.
I
Before I started playing.
From what I heard is Stoneforge Mystic was never even allowed in Modern because the standard deck was just so powerful. Or it's like I'm not entirely
Wasn't it
sure.
banned in standard at the time? I think it's like they banned it and then they realized they didn't want people to hurt the sales of the event decks, so they allowed you to play it standard only for playing the exact event deck list. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, or maybe that was the stipulation for Modern, something like that. We'll probably have to fact check ourselves.
Event deck?
They used to make event decks, so now I think they make the challenger decks. The event decks, they would just literally make decks that were essentially like an intro deck, but for Modern or something, and they would have.
This is that good.
Or
They weren't great. They were missing copies of cards, just like the challenger decks now. They're like based off a real deck in Modern,
But they don't.
but they don't
do
have
it
all of the deck.
Huh.
That's why it's like some of the cards are cheaper because like Temple Garden was in some of the Marsh Flats.
Hmm.
I hear Verdant was in some of them.
I don't know.
But I can't tell you. They tried to do a lot of getting the good center cards into intro decks at some point, or the dual decks or whatever. And that's how that Windswept Heath got so cheap and things like that. But now they have the new products, the challenger decks that they started around Ixalan, I think,
Yeah.
where it's just standard decks. Essentially the same thing. It's just the top tier standard decks, but missing some of the cards. And I think they made some new ones recently, right? They haven't made them. It's just I think the release wasn't very hyped. People didn't talk about it too much.
I believe
they
it's.
did happen, right?
What was it? They happened earlier.
Happened one with like Chain Roller or something, wasn't it?
Happened early in the year. I don't even remember what they are. Honestly, though, it's like they're already rotated out essentially. I think one was like a white weenie deck. One was a mono red aggro. One of them was Explore deck. The Golgari.
Yes.
Golgari.
It had a Path to Discovery in it. It also had a murder cycle.
Murder cycle.
A murder cycle. It had a motorcycle
That's
outside.
the Night Ride.
The last.
Ghost Riders. Pardon me.
I think the last one was like another control deck. If I remember.
I couldn't tell
I
you.
think.
But are they making another one for?
I'm assuming they're gonna do it, but it's probably not gonna happen until next year, February, March, because they do it with the reflection of the last standard per se. Or like
so when
around
sets are on their way out, they're getting sort of older, and the different archetypes are kind of set in.
Yeah, so I'd assume they're pretty much gonna make them based off the data or the decks that are in standard from maybe around Christmas, around December.
Okay, well,
Maybe those are the decks.
I'll probably get a lot of information and overlay it on the screen. Please, if I didn't remember to do that, don't hate me.
They haven't had any announcements, so there's like really nothing. They base it off of the end of the year decks essentially.
Okay. Continuing on with news, in order to keep the pace a little bit. Don't want to make this a 3-hour episode. The next thing we have, the Magic the Gathering Arena updates. Since the last time we recorded, Arena, I believe, is no longer in beta. It was launched. They had a interesting event where they let you play like 12 games of Standard or something with any cards or whatever. It's pretty cool. they're injecting cards into Historic, which is something we're going to talk about. They now have, I believe they're going to put Brawl on there. I don't know if they have it yet. And they are now using Magic the Gathering Arena on lots of, I've noticed personally they're doing it on esports leagues for like intercollegiate leagues and things like that, places you can sign up for. So Magic the Gathering, it's coming to the esports arena near you.
Just you wait. It's going to be like the next Marvel. It just comes out of nowhere. It starts with the first movie, and then it just spirals into the next.
Hopefully, we always like to see Magic the Gathering becoming more commonplace and ubiquitous. We're going to remove ourselves from the shadows. So what do you think, both of you, about the Historic format? That's something that I'd like to touch upon real quick.
I speak English.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what Historic is.
Do you want to explain? I explain.
You explain.
The train was on the rails.
And then
He's now off the rails.
I mean, if anything,
I just standard.
if you were, I would like to compare to this. We're on the tracks with our trains ready to go, and he's on there with a boat.
He's like in front of our locomotive. I'm trying to put the coal into the burner, and Fernley is getting his oars out to try and row on the dirt.
Just put some wheels on that baby. It's fun.
Anyway, Historic. It is essentially the new frontier. It's like the new frontier, as dumb as that sounds. It's starting from the cards that just rotated as new renewal. There is a new format called Historic, which is essentially Frontier, but not starting from M15. It's starting from Dominaria or Core 19 or something like that. And it's every set from Core 19 forward. And also, a few key cards from Modern are being injected into it, supposedly.
That's weird.
It is weird, and I think Angel knows a little bit more about it than I do.
Yeah, I heard that there was a controversy over it because initially too, like to get those cards that would be injected into Historic, it would take you twice as much to craft them. So like one of those rares that they just inject would cost you 2 rares instead of 1. Mythic would cost you 2.
Wild cards.
Yeah, 2 of the wild cards if you wanted them. And I think they would have been higher too. They would have raised the prices on those packs too because they're just for Historic, more powerful.
Okay, so it's probably similar to Magic
Like-
the Gathering Online, where they have special master sets or whatever to get the legacy cards in, and you have to pay more for the packs. Do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing? You like this format? You're not gonna play it?
Well, first off, I don't even play Arena.
Well, I mean, maybe you might soon. Who knows? Maybe Historic is such a great format. You're like, dang, I gotta get on Arena. I really want to play Tarmogoyfs with Oko, Thief of Crowns.
If anything, though, it's like Historic. I don't even know who actually plays it because I know it's only up for like once a month or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, only the tournaments for it.
Yeah.
I think essentially the whole idea now is as people migrate from Magic Online to Arena, you could make these decks in all these different formats, and then you could play. You could use the challenge for your friends and play with your friends. And there's actually a lot of tournaments that are coming out now. I don't know how many listeners are interested in this kind of thing. There are certain stores and websites and programs that let you join tournaments that are run via live streams, where you sign up, submit your deck list on some website, and then you do it. You open up a live stream, and the live stream person instructs you who to challenge, and then you challenge and you report. Each player reports the result. And then there's actual tournament. Basically, it's like an F&M being run totally online, and the games are being played on Arena. So I think it's kind of interesting.
I've seen stuff like that for Yu-Gi-Oh. So
wow.
Yeah. Or no, I've seen it like before, like for like different card games, like Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, because my friend's really into that. He's really into.
Okay. So you think they're taking this idea? Maybe not.
Or it's not. I mean,
similar idea.
It's like it's the idea's been around to do stuff like that, but. That's pretty nice, though. At least you can run tournaments with cash. There's
one of them. It was on one of these websites, not Goldfish. It's Aether Hub, something like that. There's a website. I think that's actually just called Aether Hub. We're not sponsored by anybody, actually, but they have something where you can get like 10,000 gems or something as a prize. It's actually endorsed by Wizards of the Coast. So if you're actually interested in playing in tournaments and stuff like that, or playing a historic format, and you don't want to wait for Arena to have the little button for you to press. There are actually alternatives already. It's just something that I thought I'd like to clarify. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, historic or into Brawl or things like that?
I will still say that I don't know. In historic, I think I'm hoping one of the best decks is probably Knights, because they have a lot of the Knights from Dominaria. So
You can play
you can play all those Knights. History Benalia.
History Benalia.
It's actually pretty good, much better. One of the cards that I like from the Brawl decks that I want to see, or I hope sees play in Standard, is going to be like Knight's Charge.
Isn't that the name of the deck?
No. There's I believe it's the name of that enchantment.
It's enchantment in the Brawl deck only, right? It's like 1 white black.
Yeah.
Whenever a knight attacks, you drain them or something.
Yeah, they lose one, you gain one. But mainly because 8 mana, you can sacrifice it, and then you bring back all the knights from your graveyard back into play.
Now that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, so I don't see why people don't. I don't know if people are experimenting with that in Standard already, but that's just pretty good on its own.
I don't know, I've seen a lot of Knights decks, but it seems like they're like so low to the ground that they're like don't have time for that kind of thing. But who knows? The decks are still forming. It's pretty early on in the format.
Yeah. I'm hoping it would be like something like mid-range, so you're including it. Other gripe before we go on. Comparing it to Frontier, I would say I would at least enjoy it if they went back to Battle for BFZ. Right before...
You want historic or to go all the way back?
I would like it just to start from like BFZ, and then like that would be the cutoff point, because that's kind of like when they switch gears, if anything.
How do you mean?
Because I remember that's when they decided to switch from the older system, where it'd be 3 sets rotation, and then they did it to 2 sets per block, I believe.
You think that the Battle for that would make the historic format a little bit better, but having the ones before it would not?
Because right now you have like a bunch of answers that have been printed, so like all the problem cards that are from there pretty much have answers now. So it make it at least more interesting, because they already have all the way back to Kaladesh, so all they would need is Innistrad and then the Battle for Zendikar, but they should never have fetch lands, I believe.
So you don't want cons?
I don't want cons.
Cons is so good, though.
It's so good, but they shouldn't have cons.
You don't want the Rhino?
You don't want the Cruise?
You don't want the Cruise?
The Cruise?
They probably have to ban the Cruise.
No.
But the Rhino?
No.
Come
I want the
The
Cruise.
fetch lands.
Come on.
The only reason why Frontier failed too, I think, is just because the fetch lands were in it.
Really?
Because it just made the deck so much more consistent, especially like Jeskai Black.
From what I've heard of people discussing it, there's a specific decks that just solve the format. They're just better. No matter how many sets got entered into Frontier, like the format was just solved. I think it was just a Tarka Red or something like that. So the aggro deck at that time was just too good. The Atarka Red, you just play Temur Battle Rage and the 1 Delve spell, and then you can auto kill people on like turn 3 or 4.
Yeah, but ever since then, like that's why you'd have Fatal Pushes in this format too.
That's true.
You'd have. There's a lot of removal that has just been printed.
Dang. You know what? Let's all give up. Let's just play Frontier.
What if we just
and historic?
What if we just
the only problem?
Let's just play Cons Block. Cons Block Standard. Come on.
I want to play Temur.
I wish we can just cut it off at BFZ so it can
play Temur now.
because
I
want to play Temur big stuff, not
there's a lot of fun interactions you do with like a lot of cards from Elise back then, even though that set was pretty weak.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's an interesting opinion on the Frontier and Brawl. We should make our own formats and then decks of like formats like that. Just test it out. That could be a video in the future.
Volunteer cons.
I actually have. I have a whole set of. I have two 1 rows that are just full of Cons Block decks. We could actually just play Cons Block Construct because I personally like it a lot. But without spending too much more time on Brawl and Frontier Cons, we got a little bit off the rail. We want to briefly touch upon the ban restricted date and how it was moved from, pardon us if the dates are not exactly right, I'll probably put it on the screen, October 21st instead of November 18th. So they pushed their ban restricted update closer to now, assuming because of an emergency in Standard. If you one of you guys want to touch upon that a little bit further.
Well, I guess it's me again. Cool.
Fernley will have his time to shine.
So most of the decks have just been very, very consistent in just winning, top 8ing. It's just been the Bant ramp decks running Golos or just Golos ramp. One of the core reasons is just for the land Field of the Dead.
Okay, so you think that they're pushing it much closer to now because they need to ban Field of the Dead or Golos or some similar card, something that makes the deck work.
Yeah, because right now there's only 3 cards that actually get rid of lands besides Assassin's Trophy.
Okay, well I can see that. It's like even before rotation, like the Field of the Dead deck was just so good. Like there's certain matchups that just couldn't win. I guess now when certain cards are missing, that it's kind of hard to beat them now.
You had to play Blast Zone.
No. I mean, I feel like
Blast Zone.
there's
Blast Zone can't even kill the tokens. That's the thing, is it enters with a you can't kill lands either. Because it enters with a counter on it. So it can't blow up things that are 0 CMC unless you have some way to remove the counter. And I think it also doesn't blow up lands.
No, it's not land.
Yeah. So it's like it's tough. It's a hard deck to beat. So any deck that relies only on lands to win is just hard to interact with, right?
Yeah.
Well, we do have we have something. There's some things. There was some card that stops it. Oh, we lost it. Alpine Moon. We had Alpine Moon and Blood Sun before, and now we can't use them.
You can't just board wipe.
You could, but I mean,
you just feel sad.
They just play a land and then they just get more. They get the zombies back, but it's just like a slow crawl, and they have just so much ramp in there naturally.
Yeah, it's like they're gonna keep getting the zombies every turn, and you're not gonna have a board wipe every turn.
I'm very curious.
Such inevitability.
I'm very curious how people are playing because I don't play Arena or I haven't played against the Dickens Standard.
It's crazy. It's like I've been playing on Arena for a little while, and I haven't really run into it. I think people are trying to beat it as opposed to play it as of right now.
I don't know.
They might also be scared that it's going to go away.
Maybe some people are just running into it constantly. I don't know. I want to try playing Ashiok against it. I want to see how it does. Because if you can get it like turn 2, if you're running something like Simic Food, get it down turn 2, they can't search for their lands anymore. So
it's not bad. It's not bad. But I don't know too much about it, so we will see. Well, the most important thing is whether or not they're going to ban it. Could be a reason why people aren't playing it right now is they're worried that their cards are going to get banned. I mean, even on Arena, it's a tough investment to get cards because wild cards are finite.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's game finite. It's resources finite.
Well, I don't know how the reward system works because I mean I'm assuming then you could at least grind out. If you already have you can probably just grind out with it until they get banned. If it gets banned, probably.
I don't know. I mean, like. Essentially, like once you redeem wild cards, you can't get the wild cards back, and you get the wild cards by opening packs, and then every few packs, instead of getting a rare or whatever, you might get a rare wild card. You might get a mythic wild card or something like that, or instead of uncommon, you get an uncommon wild card. But it's not like there's no like set amount you can get each day or whatever. It's just kind of random. And you might have to pay if you want to get a lot of them.
Well, what about like rewards and all that for like winning?
Usually you don't. If you win, you get a certain amount of daily wins. If you get a certain amount of wins, you get a pack or something, and that pack might not have a wild card in it. Probably just has a rare, and usually it's bad. And also the packs in that game, I think, are less than 15 cards, something like that.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, that's sort of our anticipation is that something related to Golos is going to go away. But moving on with the news. There are a few sets coming out soon. Theros, Beyond Death, Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths, and Zendikar Rising. That's our look into the future. You guys excited for any of these sets?
I believe everyone's excited for Zendikar. I'm very curious about the Ikoria one. That one's very interesting. I know everyone's excited for like the returns of those ones, but I'm very curious how Ikoria is going to come out because new plane.
The Lair of Behemoths.
Lair of Behemoths. I hope maybe beasts.
Maybe, or maybe just behemoths. Just big bigs. I'm actually most excited for Theros and Zendikar. I just want to go back. Everyone disses them going back to planes. I'm like, nah, man. Zendikar 3. Let's do it.
Zendikar
Revenge 3. Of the Eldrazi. That's pretty bad.
Emrakul Harder.
Emrakul Strikes Back.
Emrakul Strikes Back.
You see what happens. Emrakul is in the moon, so what's going to happen is Emrakul is going to like planeswalk the moon to
the entire moon.
and then it's going to be Death Star.
It's going to
be... Wow. That's terrible. Okay. Well, I was trying to talk about Theros. I was just trying to say that everybody assumes that Elspeth is coming back, right? And it's like, woo!
No,
That's
no.
bad.
Everyone's expecting Elspeth. Everyone's expecting Gideon. Just let Gideon rest already.
Gideon's just
we've had enough.
walking around
We've
with
had
a
enough
stick.
with him. I've had enough with him. But yeah, I think I'll probably just put a little bit of the information up. We don't want to spend too much time on this. I think we're kind of we're still on the news section. We're gonna wrap up the news pretty quickly. We're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of the episode.
Where?
Commit, cry.
Anyway, quickly for all our listeners who are interested in sci-fi / fantasy content, me and my good associate here, Mr. Fernley, are part of a very it's a very good project that we're doing before. It's definitely a labor of love. It's a web show called The Inventor. It's made by my brother, Mr. Wyatt Moore, very talented creator. He creates out of passion and the love of filmmaking. He went to film school, much to his own, to pay for a lot of it himself, just to pursue something that he enjoys quite a lot, and something that I think a lot of us can respect. Following your dreams. He has created a show called The Inventor. It's about a sort of a undiscovered genius who gets into a lot of shenanigans. It's a pretty fun show, and if you want to check it out, it's on YouTube, but it's also now, the reason that we're announcing it is on a network online. It's a website called thefantasy.network, or the Fantasy Network. This show is being picked up by them. Our season 1 is on there, so you can check it out there if you like. You don't need to pay for anything. You could pay if you want their premium content, or you don't have to. If you check it out on there, it helps us out a lot, because we are up for season 2, where that's right, we're going to be doing a crowdfunding campaign through the Fantasy Network. So if you want to check us out, it always helps. If you want to help out the campaign, that always helps. If you want to support us making a season 2, and we're very excited about that. And I definitely want this to be really good, not just for my sake because I'm in it, or Fernie's sake because he's in it, but it's definitely been a labor of love making that show, and we haven't really gotten anything out of it. It's just something that we like to make, and we just want help, creating it, making our dreams come to life. So thank you for listening to that little plug there. Please check it out. I'll put some links in the description and maybe just some text on the video. And the last little bit of news, back to Magic the Gathering, unsanctioned, a set of 30 card unglued, unhinged type card content. Not a new booster box or set. It's just these little pre-con decks you can get. We don't know too much about it yet, except for some key art that I'll probably throw up now. Boom. Hopefully I actually timed that right. I'm really assuming that I'm doing a lot of editing here. I might actually forget, but pretty exciting. I don't know if you guys are into the sort of joke set kind of thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yes. Good content, sir.
Yeah.
I can't really tell you too much about it now. We don't know any of the cards or anything. You guys want to touch upon any other news before we get into the meat and potatoes?
Oh, I thought the other part was the meat and potatoes.
That was news, man. That was news. We got two more parts to this: meat and then potatoes. Speaking of misidentifying things, did you guys see the meme put on the Magic TCG subreddit?
No.
Target, on their listing on their inventory and stuff, they're still putting Throne of Eldraine as archery. The secret set name where they, how sometimes before sets come out, they'll have a secret placeholder name, and that's what they're using, archery, for Throne of Eldraine. And for some reason, Target still thinks that's the name of the set. I thought that was pretty funny. But you guys ready for the next part?
Yeah.
Little transition, maybe do a little more music.
Stop it.
Get some help. So the topic of this podcast and the meat of the meat and potato, I keep saying that. We're doing a set review. We're definitely not going to go over every single card because we've done that in the past and it's taken a very long time. We're going to go over some of the cards that we think are notable, some of the things we're going to know for standard, stuff that we like, and stuff that's good for draft, commander, stuff like that. So we're going to go right into it. Any of the cards that you guys want to talk about right off the bat?
Don't go over. Well, I mean, do you want to go right into the cards that are actually seen play, or pet cards?
You know what? It seems like you want to talk about some pet cards. Go over the pet cards first, I guess. What is your pet card for this set, sir?
One of the cards that I really like is Escape to the Wilds.
Okay, can you tell us about it?
So it's three colorless, one red, one green. Sorcery. Exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may play cards exiled this way until the end of your next turn. And then I can play an additional land this turn.
Okay. So what are you trying to do with this?
Well, in standard, I think it's alright. I mean, it's probably not going to see any play, but I'm probably going to try and run it just for the card advantage, because it just sets you up for the next turn, lets you hit another land drop, lets you prepare, trying making a storm deck. So
okay. We can actually, I know you sent me a list, right?
Yeah.
We could throw that up if you want. Actually, the next part of this,
I mean,
the next segment is going to be us talking about our own deck, so if you want, that could be the first one we talk about.
I mean, but, well, yeah, I'll just talk about the other ones. But, I think it could have potential. Probably not, but I still...
Very honest. I like that.
But, I like it.
All right, Fernie, what's your pet card for this set?
I know. All I've done.
What was that?
I know. Treasure Cruise. That's all.
Oh, Treasure Cruise. What's that? What's that card? I didn't see that.
It's the best card in the game, bro. Best card in the game.
I'm gonna throw up a picture of Treasure Cruise and I'm gonna edit out the cons logo. The Eldraine one. This is Fernley's pet card.
Treasure Cruise.
You know what? Every time a new set comes out, I'm just gonna put that up as your pet card. Just Treasure Cruise every time.
I'm on a cruise. I'm on a cruise for life.
Always on the cruise.
I'm always on the cruise.
I think Angel, I think you have another pet card, don't you? I think there's a few of them that you were interested in. What about that? That's the claw or whatever.
The claw.
Which claw?
The witch claw?
The one that copies.
I don't like that.
The one that copies things. What was that one?
Lucky Clover?
Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah, but that one I just want to try and get at work too inside an Adventure Storm deck.
We all want.
But that's just like getting into the decks. I like it. Lets you double up most of those triggers like Rose Thorn Acolyte. Where it's just 1 green for the adventure. You make 1 mana of any color, so it just nets you mana.
Okay.
For that turn. But can't really have multiples. Brazen Borrower, bounce several things. I don't know. I mean, I could just talk about the deck right now, but I feel like I could just save it.
We'll save the deck list for later. I was just wondering what you're like, sort of. I know you were talking about Fires of Invention before. That actually has been turning out to be a pretty good card. But yeah, without bouncing around too much, I'd like to talk about my pet card real quick. It's not even really in the set. Kenrith, the Return King. That is my favorite card in the set. I actually, I'm not gonna say the set is bad, but I actually wasn't too, hype about anything in particular, except the buy box promo Kenrith. It's my new 5-color commander. I think we'll probably do some gameplay videos with it. It's just so cool. It's like
I hate it.
He's the king. He sits on the chair.
It's actually good.
It's really good.
I hate it.
I think it's like probably one of the new good food chain decks if you play CDH. People were playing the first sliver or whatever to be able to make infinite mana and then cascade into something. But this guy is like, you have food chain, you make infinite mana, and you just win with it. All your cards are in your graveyard, all infinite power toughness, all trample haste. How about you gain infinite life? You want to draw your deck? Why not? But forget about that. Forget about CDH. You want to play normal fun EDH? This dude's great. Like, I play a 5-color deck. You play 5-color fun stuff, and then you don't have anything to do with your 1 million 5-color mana. Or just play him. Draw some cards, gain some life, and it's like it's political. You can target other players with the abilities. You're like, hey man, hey. If you want to attack Fernley right now, I'll give you some 1/1 counters. And you're like, dang.
Can you give other people's creatures haste?
Yes, all creatures gain trample haste.
Oh.
The 2-mana one is. Oh, I guess maybe I'll be putting the card on the screen if you want me to go over. It's 5 mana, 5/5. That's white, but it actually has all 5 colors in its identity because it has 5 abilities. One of them is to pay a red for all creatures gain trample haste on a turn, or you can pay 1 and a green to put a 1/1 counter on target creature, or 2 and a white to target player gains 5 life, or 3 and a blue. Target player draws a card, or 4 and a black, put target creature card from a graveyard on the battlefield under its owner's control.
I like it. Where's what's his face? Where's Phage?
Being untouchable? Sure, yeah. Why not? No, just kill yourself, sure.
No, because you just.
That's what you do. You just put
cry.
face in and then you die because you didn't play it from your hand.
Oh.
Wasn't there some deck that? There's a deck with Phage, totally unrelated, but that you play Phage from your hand, right? Play it normally, and then you play the new card, not the new cards from a few Commander precons ago, but Fractured Identity.
Oh,
You exile a creature, and then each other person that didn't, whoever was not controlling the creature when you exile it gets a copy of it, and everybody else just die immediately. I don't know. It's just not like a super great combo, but it's like a funny one. So they're like, here, it's a gift. Here you all go.
Everyone gets a page.
So that's some pet cards.
I mean, do you want me to say my thing?
I
thought it was Treasure Cruise.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, what's your second pick after Treasure
My
Cruise?
second pick is this Animating Fury. I like
Okay.
the adventure, bring to life. We put 4 1 encounters on something, just make a creature. I think it's funny with the armor rack that already has 3 1 encounters.
Weapon rack or something like that.
Yeah, it's 4 mana for like a artifact that has 3 1 encounters. You just bring it to life. It's a 7/7.
That's not bad. I think we'll probably touch upon that in the second part of the podcast because we're going to go over decks and stuff like that. But I didn't get a chance to do the pre-release, but I know you two gentlemen did, so you'll be able to talk about your experiences pretty soon. But now that we've gone over the pet cards, and we're going to go over probably the cards that we find the most interesting, and then the cards that we think are going to be seeing a lot of play. I don't know if you guys want to go in color order or if you want to bounce around. I think probably color is easier. So probably it'll be easier for me in editing if we want to go over. So is there any white cards you guys think are notable?
Harmonious Archon.
You like that one?
That's funny.
I like it because if you're actually doing a token deck, if there is one that goes even wider, you can just run it as a high end. Because if you just have more creatures in them, you can just beat them to death.
I guess that's pretty good. So like you end step was that March of the Multitude, something like that, and then you on your turn you play a Harmonious Archon and they all become 3/3s. It's not bad. You think it's gonna actually see play?
Probably not, because I already saw there's already a list for like a tokeny deck I saw, but they don't run it. I guess it's like an adventure theme, more adventure focus. I don't know. I don't think there's a deck. It could see play in the future. I will hold hope. I'll probably see
you
play.
want to play it.
I do want to.
I mean, it doesn't seem bad. It seems fun. I mean, it probably needs to wait for Golos to go away because like it doesn't matter how many tokens you have when the infinite.
Hey, but you got because it's like you're just playing a zombie matchup. They're probably making more than you every turn.
You probably don't want to bother with that. And the next one that I think is notable is the Circle of Loyalty. I haven't seen it yet. I actually don't even know if it's. I think it's probably good in the Knights deck, but I think it's going to be good in like some sort of Planeswalker deck. Because even if you're paying it for full cost, it's like it basically reads, creatures you control get +1/+1 whenever you cast a legendary spell, aka a Planeswalker, you get a 2/2. So, or with this out, it's a 3/3, right? So in a decks that don't want to play creatures because that targets that magnet's removal, just having access to a card that every time you play a spell you get a 2/2, you can control the board and not care because you're going to be able to make more, and you can pay 4 and tap it to make more 2/2s.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good. I think the Knights deck wouldn't play this because it's like they're already playing stuff like Embercleave, and they're probably winning a little bit faster than this. Maybe it's just like a sideboard card.
I think the problem is that it's like you're carrying more for the legendary creatures, and I don't know how many Knights are actually legendary.
That's a good point. I mean, this is a good. You could just pay 4 and tap it. It's sort of like Legion's Landing or whatever, or that from previous that just rotated from Ixalan. What's that? Is that a 1-drop?
Yeah.
Enters, you make one.
Legion's
Yeah,
Landings, and then it
flips,
transfers to a Danto's Fortress.
Actually, speaking of that, there's another white card. It's a land. I guess it's not technically white, but it's a land that is similar to a Danto's Fortress.
It's exactly a
from the
Danto's. I think it's just one more mana.
It's
Because it's
5
4 to activate, right?
That's
I
like
am
4 or 5.
on our favorite website, Mythic Spoiler, and I just clicked on the wrong card.
Genius.
Like I said, no affiliation.
Time for me to go
we
all
just
the
like
way
it.
down.
Yeah.
Castle Ardenvale. Enter. So this is a cycle of lands, as we'll go through. They are basically like plains or an island or a swamp, but so they come in untapped. They come in tapped unless you control plains. They tap for a white, and then you could pay 2 white, tap it to create a 1/1 white human creature token. So it does make tokens that are slightly weaker, but this isn't something that you have to pay mana for or flip. You just play this card, and it comes in untapped most of the time. And you can pay mana, sink mana into it to make 1/1s. I think this whole cycle is pretty powerful. and this is probably one of the better ones because it makes things that impact the board.
Better than a basic.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all you have to be is better than a basic.
I mean, I think basics are important in some.
As long as you have one, it works.
There's actually a common cycle that are. They're not.
pretty
They
good.
have the basic land types in them, so if you wanted to fetch them out or whatever. So without spending too much time on a cycle that we're not at yet, if you want to go back to the white cards, the other let's see, I think there's also a cycle of legendary creatures that I'd like to talk about. The first one being this white one that I can't find. We don't have the same setup. We're trying to get used to this now. So it's Linden, the Steadfast Queen. It's white for 3/3 vigilance. Whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. Think this is playable?
No.
Dang.
No,
Harsh.
Not in standard.
Not a standard. All right. You don't think there's
Maybe
like a
in
white
draft.
Dang. You don't think there's like a white life gain deck going around, something like that?
Who
Even Johnny's Pride
cares?
Name. Dang.
Who cares?
These are fighting words. Somebody call the Fighting Spirit podcast. Let's get some analysis on that. All right. Well, okay. You guys
I'd
don't
rather
have too much
play
to
the
say.
Charming Prince.
Charming Prince is good. You guys want to talk about that one?
Exactly.
You'd rather talk about that?
I tried playing that one because I was making like a Abzan deck.
For Charming Prince?
Yeah, because I would just
Well, you
reuse the
Siege
flickers.
He's gaining the 3 life.
So what are you trying to blink in that one?
I was just experimental. Like, you have Tristan, you have the Archon, just to make more tokens.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad.
Wicked Wolf, because it can just refight.
Mm.
But the problem is, it's like right now there's lacking in ETBs, so it's like that's why like I already took apart the deck because it's right now it's not that great because there's not as many things you can really abuse.
Yeah, I think a lot of these cards are obviously meant for strategies that aren't in yet.
Yeah,
like this set is setting up the standard for the next like 2 years or something, and there's a lot of sets coming out that are probably going to interact with these cards.
But it's pretty great. I played the deck against like a burn deck, and every time I just kept drawing them, and so I just gained 3 life, and I was already running what was it? Selesnya with the Selesnya Knight too.
Wow, it's like a better Rex Sage. 1 in a white and a green. You get a 2/1 that enters either as a 4/3 or a 2/1 that kills artifact enchantment, or you gain 4 life.
Yeah, so it's like I was running both of them too. So I was just being it just felt like we were playing toolbox kind of because you had so much utility. Because I would. Someone was playing Cavalcade,
Mm-hmm.
and so what I did is I just played it, gained the 4, or I played it, flickered it, and I destroyed 2 of their Cavalcades.
Nice. That's probably a lot better than gaining life. But, both these cards actually gain you life. A lot of versatility. The other white card that I think is notable, we don't want to talk about too many cards of each color, Realm Cloak Giant. Crazy value. I think the adventure mechanic is like way stronger than it's being, given credit for. But
Delicious.
It's apparently delicious.
It's delicious.
Looking at some cards that make food tokens, or
No, I'm looking at the adventure cards. They're
Okay.
so good.
So Realm Cloak Giant has adventure, the new mechanic. If you haven't been privy to it, you can play the creature as a creature, as a 7 mana, 7/7 with vigilance, or you can cast it as a sorcery for 3 and white to cast off. It's destroy all non-giant creatures, which is most creatures. And then once you cast a card for its adventure, you can then from exile play the creature have. So basically, this is 2 cards in 1. All the adventure cards are 2 cards in 1, which is insane value. Like, why do you need to draw cards when you basically have 14 cards in your hand, right? Exactly. So this is a 5 mana board wipe, which is what pretty much par for the course, what we're used to, and then it also has a 7 mana 7/7 attached to it. So after you've cleared the board, the next turn, you just you play this. And if you're playing 4 copies of it, doesn't matter because the board wipe doesn't destroy the other copies. I think this is a really insane card, and I'm ready to see what decks are playing it.
I was originally looking at this card, and I was wanting to do like a Naya Giants because you also get some of the other giants. There's there's other giants that we'll get to, but that was my thought process. Just running like Naya Giants, just trying to really take advantage of that. I mean,
I know we're going out of the color a little bit, but it's like the Bone Crusher Giant or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like the 1 in a red. You do 2 damage, and it's like a skull crack, and then you just get to play a 3 mana 4/3 with whenever it gets targeted, it does 2 damage to the person targeting it. Like, that's a great card. This is a great card. It seems like Giants isn't really one of the strategies that they're trying to push, but it's like it's there and it's really powerful. I think Adventure is just like crazy advantage. Not as good as Treasure Cruise, which is but it's pretty good.
Two for one.
It's 2 for 1 as opposed to 3 for 1.
I think there's like 2 more cards in white to talk about. Really,
there are quite a few interesting knight cards, but we don't want to
like,
we don't want to spend too much time talking about the knight strategy because I mean it's pretty easy to understand that one of the knights you play knights and the knights help the other knights. Boom.
How about the weird win con?
Which one?
Happily
Happily Ever After. I saw somebody post a modern deck about that. I was like, what? It's interesting. It's definitely a flavor win, I think. Like, you have everything, then you win. We'll throw it up on the screen. Again, crossing my fingers. But if you don't know, Happily Ever After is 2 and a white. When it enters the battlefield, each player gains 5 life and draws a card. So far, But it says at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, and there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control and/or cards in your graveyard, and your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, you win the game. Sounds like a lot, but if you think about it, it's really not. It's pretty easy to get, put Kenrith in your graveyard alone. Boom. That's the 5 color requirement. 6 or more card types, that's the same thing. You'd be run into the same issue that, Tarmogoyf players have, but people obviously keep playing Tarmogoyf, right? And then 5, life total greater than or equal to starting life total. I mean, you just gained 5 life. Hopefully your life total is pretty high, and you just win. That's it. It's interesting.
Some weird stally life gain deck.
Yeah. Angel, what was the other card you want to talk about?
Deafening Silence.
Ouch. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's not what I expected. So what's your opinion on this card?
I think it's really good. That's mainly it. Because
that's it.
Because it does help those creature strategies that are lower to the ground because it just prevents most control
so
decks.
you're playing knights or something and you play this to stop like a planeswalker deck from going off or whatever.
Or just like playing multiple things, I guess. Because you're forcing them to play only one spell turn. If a storm deck comes up, which I'm trying to make a storm deck happen.
I guess this would help if you're playing control, right, in the mirror.
Yeah.
So like, you play this, and then on their turn they try to play something, a planeswalker per se, and then you try to counter it. They can't cast another counter afterwards.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, unless they're playing the green-blue Field Mystic.
To be fair, though, if you're already running Teferi.
That's true. That is very true.
I don't know. I like it, though.
Before we move away from white, unless you guys have something else, I just want to talk about Hushbringer briefly. Great card and all, but, like, this art, it's,
You don't like
like
those?
You don't like the lips?
You don't like those?
Who came up? Like, I'm not saying it's bad art. It's way better than any art that I could ever make.
It's
but
delicious.
Elaborate, please. Elaborate.
Mouth.
Yeah.
I'm just going to walk away.
Delicious.
I'm just going to...
That's me walking away from this bizarre.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's an interesting art for sure. It's very abstract. A lot of mouths. I'm not sure if this is a really good artwork or is this actual pictures of mouths on the side.
No, it's art. It has.
It's like, what is going on? His mouth
I think this is just...
It's kind of disturbing.
I think this is just like
You
experimentation.
like the
just moving
lips
to
going around the hips of the pixel?
I think this is just like Wizards just like experimenting.
I am listening, Angel. I'm listening.
I know. I'm just trying to speak over just I don't know. But yeah, I think it's just like Wizards just trying different art mediums, different forms, I guess.
It's definitely
Abstract,
way out of
I
the
guess.
norm because like before, anytime they do something abstract, it would be something like Therese Nielsen would do like those weird collages or not weird. I know they're good collages, but this is just something different. This is
I wonder what the foil
mouth.
looks like.
That looks great.
I want the foil.
Me too, buddy. Me too. Who doesn't want a foil of lip and hip lips?
Lips around the hips.
Whoa. Okay, moving on as quickly as possible. Let's dive into blue for a little while. The top of the order, probably one of the better blue cards in the set, the Brazen Borrower, the new...
No, you mean Magic Mirror.
Stop.
You mean Treasure Cruise?
No, exactly. We're on the right
Treasure
track.
Cruise, it is 8 mana, 7 of blue. No, Brazen Borrower, it's the click, not click. Same mana cost, similar function, but actually it's got Adventure. The Adventure is Petty Theft. For 1 blue, you can return target non-land permanent or opponent controls owner's hand. Disperse. So you have Disperse, but normally Disperse is not played because it's card disadvantage, but this is not. Because you play that, you get disadvantage, but then you get to play this card from exile for 1 blue as a 3/1 flash flyer that can block only creatures with flying. So it's a Disperse that you can later just get a body on the board, have a threat. I think it's pretty good, honestly. It's a great tempo play. I'm not sure if anybody's playing it yet. Probably not good versus Golos, but once that goes away, supposedly.
I believe the Simic food decks are running it, or the Simic decks.
Okay.
Food.
Okay.
You want to keep going on that one? Or?
Food.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, any other talk about Brazen Ballroom? Think it's good?
I think it's good.
Do you think it's good, Fernie?
Yeah.
You like
Yeah.
it? Would you play it in the
I
deck
wouldn't play it, but I like it.
Okay.
It's a good card. I
think
understand.
I think it's a tough part about it is you can't put your own stuff back in your hand. That was one of the reasons that Disperse is a good card is you could protect your own stuff and bounce their stuff. But I still think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one, as firmly mentioned originally, Magic Mirror.
The mirror.
6 blue. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a knowledge counter on it. Knowledge. That's all these books in my garage.
All these mirrors in my garage.
Knowledge counter on the Magic Mirror, and then draw a card for each knowledge counter on Magic Mirror. So it's draw a lot of cards. That's it. Do you think this is going to be standard playable, commander
Never.
playable,
No.
historic playable?
Burn it.
Burn it in the wow. That's a harsh opinion, you know.
Put it in your commander deck. Win the game.
You know how hard is it to get 6 instant sorceries? It's not that hard.
Not even.
Oh, it is tough when you're delving away for treasure cards.
Exactly.
Well,
That's true. That is true.
It's like, I mean, it's not that hard, but the problem is it's the fact that it's just so long to start getting.
Okay,
the
yeah, because
cards.
like the first you play this, I'm estimating probably turn 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, right?
Okay.
And then turn after you get 1 card. It only replaces
And
itself.
then
So
two.
I could see that it being kind of tough, but I think in Commander it could be fun.
Don't
I
we
feel
have
like-
proliferate in standard right now.
That's true. I mean, you think that there'd be a strong strategy to try and cheat this out and then proliferate it?
Yeah, because you get the one where it's like you cast non-creatures and you put.
Hey, see that's pretty good. Every time you draw non-creature spells with a thing and you play them, and then you put counters on this. You play Petty Theft from the Brazen Borrower, put their stuff back in their hand, you get it a thing, and then your turn, you get more cards. I think that's pretty good. You do run into a little issue where this thing could kill you because it's not a May to draw. So
Can you give it to the opponent?
Some decks.
there it is. Is there a way to do that?
What?
Oh, Oko, right? Oko can exchange. This is the best deck. We already figured it out. We broke
Group
standard.
hug.
No, so it's like
You just
you
play
play
more-
Magic Mirror and you proliferate it, and then you use Oko's ult to switch.
So you go to them.
You load it up with counters and you switch it to the opponent and they draw their
And then
deck.
you play like that silence, so they can't cast more than one non-creature.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many cards they have, you're deafening them. See, it's all coming together, boys. This is the best deck in standard. Right?
Oh my God.
Wow, we already figured it out.
New contender.
Anyway, I don't know how we could get better than that. Gadwick the Wizened is part of the cycle we were talking about before. It's definitely a lot better than Linden, in my opinion. Gadwick is X blue for a 3/3. It says when it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards, where X is the amount you paid. And it says whenever you cast a blue spell, tap target non-land permanent opponent controls. You guys have an opinion on this card?
I played in draft. I had 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Wow, yeah, I can see that being pretty fun. You're stealing all the fun from your opponent. It's like, okay, I draw my deck, and I tap all your permanents.
I'm going
Okay.
to attack now with my 7/7 artifact.
Angel, do you have any opinions on Gadwick the Wizened?
Not really. I mean, it's there.
No way. Is it?
I mean, I guess it's cool if you're running like X spells, matters decks where you can maximize that.
Okay.
Like, what was it? There's Unbound Flourishing. So you get a
Oh,
double.
you don't want to play with that.
I mean, I feel like
Double X and then
you just double the X.
it's tough though because like you pay all this X, but it's just a draw spell. You don't actually. He doesn't actually get any bigger.
Guys,
It doesn't get
This one incentivizes you to play mono blue, right? He's like 3 blue, and this thing triggers off blue cards.
If anything, it's like bad Sphinx Rev, something like that. Sphinx Rev sorcery with a body.
This one's good, I think, for Commander because it's basically a Sphinx's Rev.
But
He's
you already
your
have
Commander.
You already have, I guess, right. Just drawing being able to draw more cards is great.
Yeah.
Especially in your command zone.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for Commander. I don't think he's actually going to be a standard card because you have other draw options. Like you already had Finale of Revelation, which is like getting that extra card is just I think better.
Yeah.
His second ability is pretty interesting, but
It's
I'm
funny.
pretty sure he's going to die before anything happens with him. He's also not like 3/3 at that stage in the game is not super relevant. Also.
3 mana 3/3 that taps down your opponent's permanent. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, so there's a few more cards in blue that I think are pretty. Actually, quite a few cards
I
in
had,
blue are
I
interesting.
had a thought.
Do you?
What, if you're playing a proliferate deck, right?
Uh-huh.
With the mirror.
Oh, we're back to
you
that.
You don't have to worry about milling out if you're proliferating counters on the clock, the midnight clock as well.
Oh, the
You
segue.
shuffle your hand in graveyard.
So you want to play in the best deck in standard. In the best deck in standard, you want to run Midnight Clock as a safety valve.
Exactly. If you can't kill your opponent with that many cards in your hand, you should just concede at that point.
Wow.
Come on.
Okay.
We got it. We
Okay.
got it.
You know that'll be. You know I'm gonna go a little bit off topic and a little back. Back in Manaforge games yet again. Second reference. Rest in peace. I used to do a lot of the articles. I don't know. Probably nobody's read them, but and I don't think they're up anymore. But I used to write articles for the website manaforgegames.com, and one of the main things that I would do is I would make these really terrible themed deck lists, and that just sounds exactly like one of those I used to make. Like I would make. I think the most fun ones were the ones that were based off of songs. So it's like The Boys Are Back in Town, and they'd be like all male planeswalkers or something. But definitely we used to make a lot of really janky lists. But the reason I'm talking about it is I'm pretty sure that that would be a good start. If we want to start doing that again, we can make our own little. Here it is. We actually have Arena, and we can film Arena content now, right? So every week or every 2 weeks or something, we'll come up with a janky deck list or a themed deck list, and we'll just play it, and we'll try and make it work. So the first one will be Magic Mirror.
Magic Mirror.
Magic Mirror.
Midnight Clock.
Midnight
Proliferate.
Lock. Oko. Proliferate. Tribal.
Mirror,
Boom.
mirror.
That'll be mirror on the wall. That'll be what it's called.
How many cards can I draw?
Oh no! Oh, do you think that's why they called it that? Magic Mirror on the wall. How many cards can I draw?
Who's the jankiest?
It's jankiest.
It's okay, you play Magic Mirror, I'll play Oko.
We could play against each other. Perfect. Boom.
Yeah, let me turn your mirror into a 3/3.
Does Oko hit artifacts?
Yeah, Oko hits artifacts.
That's terrible.
That's why.
Wow. But if I play Oko, I'm giving you target artifact creature you control with target creature an opponent controls power 3 or less. Perfect. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together here. We got it, boys.
Get ready for that content. It's happening.
Get ready to lose to it.
Get ready to lose. Somebody's going to lose to it because I'm going to keep recording until somebody does. Anyway, not
That
staying on this
one
for
poor
too
sad
long.
guy.
I'd be impressed.
I'd like to.
I'd give you $5 if you could do
Wow.
that. If you can
If
kill,
I could beat anybody with that deck in that way.
if you can make a meal out with Magic Mirror, I will give you like $5. I will buy you lunch. I will buy you lunch.
We're on. It's on. Everybody look out for that. And we're going to have a new show already in the works.
Dude, what if we played Sir Eleanor and he gave it unblockable someone?
First
Was that the ultimate win condition?
You just
Okay.
unblockable Sir Eleanor.
Sir Eleonora
'Cause it's
is...
equal to the amount of cards in your hand.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Sir Eleonora is a 5-mana X4. It says its power is equal to the number of cards in your hand. And then whenever it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and
And it
spells
has
your opponent
protection.
control. Whenever a spell your opponent's cast that targets Sir Eleanor, there are 2 more to cast. So it kind of protects itself. This sounds like the best deck ever made. You know what's really going to help it? Treasure Cruise.
Oh, yeah, let's do this.
Just hack into Arena and like...
I love it
put
when a
Treasure
plan comes together.
Hacking
Cruise. I love it when the plan...
And it's up.
And all you people listening, you wonderful viewers, you look out for that. That video, it's coming out. I'm going to waste all these wild cards. And it's going to be terrible. Yeah, okay, anyway. I like to move on from this. I don't spend too much time on that. Our blue. There are actually quite a few good blue cards. Emery is good. Fae of Wishes is good. We already talked about Midnight Clock.
We'll be talking about Folio Fancies.
I don't think we need to. Mirror Maid is good. Slown by the Fae is good. Vantage Gargoyle is good. There's a lot of good blue cards. We don't have a lot of time, so if you guys want to pick one or two to talk about real quick.
Let's see.
Nice.
If I have to pick one, do I... let's talk about Mystical Dispute.
Why don't... Okay, sure. Okay, why do you like Mystical Dispute? You want to talk about it?
It's just a counter spell for... It's like a spell pierce, essentially. Just for any blue, almost.
It's like a mana leak, right?
Yeah.
It's a mana leak, but for blue, so it's a good sideboard card. Okay, it's an interesting pick out of all of those options. You think it's going to see play? Probably sideboard?
Yeah, sideboard play. It's going to be pretty good, so it helps you... If you're just splashing blue, so you can just try and get over those mono blue matchups. Counter Oko, counter Teferi, counter Narset.
Not bad. Friendly, you have any blue cards that you want to touch on?
It's this card called Opt.
Why would you play Opt when you could play Treasure Cruiser?
Oh, that's true. So true.
Okay. Wow.
There's Frogify. That's funny.
Emery is the one that I was hoping we'd talk about. It's the one that I think is going to see the most play outside of
It's already seen play in Modern. It's already dominating with Urza.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to touch upon. But I guess we're talking about Opt and Treasure Cruise instead.
Well, you weren't being specific. I was going to say it, but it seemed too obvious.
Well, Vantress Gargoyle is another card I also want to talk about. I think it's pretty good. It's a 2-mana 5/4 flyer. It can't attack unless defending player controls. It has 7 or more cards in a graveyard, and it can't block unless you have 4 more cards in hand. I just thought it was pretty fun. It was pretty good. And you can tap it to put the top card of each player's library into their graveyard.
We could put it in the mirror.
Oh, in the mirror deck. No, probably not. But anyway, I just wanted to touch upon that because I thought it was cool. If you guys don't have too much opinions, we can move on without wasting too much time into black.
Sure.
At the top of the black card list, Rankle, Master of the Prankle.
Kinkles.
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 Rankle, the Master of Pranks. He's the
Rankle, Master of Kinkle.
Okay.
I can't even see his Kinkles.
Yeah, you can.
You guys. I'm gonna have to. You guys are making me do too much Photoshop. Rankle, Master of Pranks is a 2 black for a 3/3 with flying and haste. It says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, choose any number. Each player discards a card. Each player loses 1 life and draws a card, or each player sacks a creature. So you can do 1, do 2, do 3, do any mix of them. Do you guys like this card?
I don't like the draw card on it. The discard card can be annoying, and
you don't like the draw card because each player does it.
Yeah, it's because each player does it.
I think it's interesting because it gives black an option of drawing cards.
We just went over. Being on the night being bad.
Yeah. But
this is bad.
It's just interesting that perhaps in certain situations.
It reminds me honestly of kind of like Lily.
This reminds you of Liliana.
Well, yeah.
Which one?
Was it Chainveil?
Liliana of the Chainveil?
Yeah, the 3-mana one in Modern.
Liliana of the Veil.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Of the Veil, yeah.
So this reminds you of Lily of the Veil, huh? Rankle, Master of the Pranks?
Mainly just because of each player discards a card, and each player sacrifices a creature. Except, the discarding part where you make each player discard a card, that's what it reminds me of, just from the +1, and then the minus, target player sacrifices a creature, but in this case, both of you do. It's kind of a job, but it kind of reminds me of that just because of the utility and the options, except for the ultimate,
You know what? Rankle, basically Liliana. I'm going to put a little equation. Rankle equals Liliana. Same card. They're just as good.
It's almost, 3/3. Starting loyalty of Liliana, 3/3.
Oh!
3 loyalty, see?
It all comes
just 1 mana more.
It all.
The shocking truth.
The shocking truth. Wow. Without spending too much time on Liliana of the Veil, Cauldron of Eternity.
How do you feel about that card?
So, just so anybody knows, it is 10 black. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard, so theoretically you can get it to cast for black, which is pretty good. It says whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of your library. You can play 2 and a black and tap it, pay 2 life to return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. Personally, I think this is just kind of a cute commander card, not too great. It's not a standard card, no. The fact that it doesn't let you put creature cards in your graveyard afterwards is kind of bad. And getting a creature back, there are like other ways to do that. And this is probably not one of the great ones, but I think in Commander it can be pretty fun.
Draft All-Star.
Do you get a chance to play it in draft or see it used?
I saw it used. It's fun.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. Just being able to bring back your bombs or play them for just, 3 mana by discarding
I
them.
think any form of advantage, like card advantage in draft is just it's like multiply.
And that way you don't draw out.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because that happens a bit.
Yeah, but I think we probably don't like this card that much.
No, not in standard. No
the next card that we're talking about in the 3 mana, or the three color cycle is Ayara, First of the Lochthwain. It's black for a 2/3. It says whenever Ayara, First of the Lochthwain, or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And you could sack another black creature to draw a card. Do you guys like this card? Do you think it's good in Commander, Standard, Brawl, Historic, Frontier, Draft?
Calm down.
Pack
really,
Wars,
you're going to go underneath the table.
What's your opinions on it?
It seems if a mono black deck will pop up, it seems like it'll just have a home there. Just being able to just slowly drain them by playing creatures over time. I believe there's already a mono black deck. I'm not sure what it's running. I already might be running her in there. Maybe with.
I think I saw it on Arena.
It's so weird.
Ran into it's like an Aristocrats deck that runs this, and it runs the Cauldron Familiar, which is like a 1 black 1/1. When it enters, it drains, and then you could sack a food to do it. They kind of play off of each other. The creature keeps entering, and you're draining. It's pretty good recursion. I think I think it requires you to use the Witch's Oven at the same time.
Yeah.
So you sack the 1/1 to get a food, and then you can sack the food to get the 1/1 back. And when this enters, it doubles the drain. Then you can. It's a pretty good deck, it seems. I think it's going to be pretty good in Commander. I don't know if it would be the Commander for a deck, but it'd be a pretty good support card for an Aristocrats type strategy. Fernie, do you have any opinions on this card?
It's so weird because right underneath it is Sir Conrad, which is whenever a creature goes to the graveyard, it deals a damage. It just looks weird. It's just like, are these supposed to go together?
Maybe. I'd probably throw Conrad on there, but without spending too much time on Conrad. Is there any other black cards we're looking at? There's some Knight support, but I don't think we need to talk about Knights too much.
Murderous Rider.
Oh, yeah,
Murderous Rider.
Really
Oh my god. This is one of the earlier spoilers, and I totally fell in love with it immediately. So Murderous Rider is 1 black for 2/3 with lifelink. It says when Murderous Rider dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. Like, dang, that's not too great, but actually, the Murderous Rider is going on an adventure. Swift End, 1 black for an instant adventure. Destroy target creature or planeswalker, you lose 2 life. It's Hero's Downfall with a 2/3 lifelink attached to it. And the only downside is you lose 2 life. It's not a downside. That's a plus. It's not a plus, but it's a plus.
Well, you're gonna gain back the life.
Exactly. It's a negligible downside. I think this card is great. If people aren't playing it yet, they're messing up.
It's a kill and a creature.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's seriously, it's like I was saying before, like the adventure cards, their value of them is just too high. Is there any other there's some interesting black cards beyond that? Piper of the Swarm, it makes rats. Witchclaw Talisman.
Witchclaw Talisman. People were high on that for Commander.
Do you think it's actually good? Do you think people should buy into the hype?
I mean, it's all right. I mean, a lot of people that I know are just happy or just want it for like decks like Anamatu.
Okay.
Because it can just
give it back to you.
No, I mean, my opponent's not giving it back to me. I'm just taking it back.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you use Anamatu to get it back. Right?
Yeah.
That's not
so
bad.
yeah, most people are just like have the idea. It's like, oh, it's so good because you just flicker it. But at the same time, it's if you don't have the flicker effect, you just have to give it to someone. You have to kind of make deals with them just to tell them, it's like, okay, if I give it to you, you'll do this. But it's like they can agree to it. But like if they secretly have like half of a combo piece in hand.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like an interesting Commander political card, but I don't think it really has a home in Standard or any other format.
I know one of the decks that was thinking of using it was that Esper Stacks deck. I think that deck uses it just so you can tutor up Dance of the Mance.
The card that brings all the artifacts and enchantments.
We can talk about it more when we get there.
Okay. Is there any other black cards you guys want to touch upon?
Is that weird troll?
Clackbridge,
Yeah.
the new Desecrator demon.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's different, but in a lot of ways the same. It's just like a big body for a cheap amount, but then your opponent.
At least you gain
Get-
3 life and draw a card when they sacrifice.
Well, you think it's better than the demon or worse?
What's the demon do?
The demon is like a 2 black for 6/6, and it says flying. I think trample. But at the beginning of combat, your opponent could sack a creature to tap it, but then that puts a counter on it.
I prefer this. This replaces itself for being useless for a turn.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think
you also
the
just
main
gain
difference
that.
is that this also gives them O1s, but the Desecrator demon did not. But the Desecrator demon also had flying, which is
Yeah, but it didn't have haste.
To be fair, that
It immediately replaces itself.
it has a trample
Fair
haste. Yeah.
okay. I can see that.
It's also bigger. It's
You guys
just
think
an 8/8.
you guys think this is going to be good in standard? Desecrator. Wow. Desecrator demon was definitely a lot better. Or saw a lot of play. Dang, that's a little.
I feel like there's just too much room.
It could. I feel maybe in a deck that cares about like things being sacrificed. Because I know that there's a creature where it pings. You can ping something or someone if whenever a creature sacrificed.
I wouldn't remember which was a Mayhem Devil or something like that.
I believe so. Yeah, it was like a
one,
Rakdos.
Yeah, 1 black-red for a 3/3 that has that ability. Okay, yeah, it's an interesting. It's a deck list that I haven't seen yet, but I'm pretty sure will pop up at some point. Is there any other black cards you want to touch upon, or are we able to move to red?
I'm
Which
good.
is Vengeance.
Witch's Vengeance. It's just like it's interesting.
It's
If tribal cards are actually tribal decks are actually as prevalent as this set may make it seem, it'll be good. But if not,
I feel like it's a modern card.
you think so? Because it interacts with Merfolk, I guess.
So you kill. It works for humans, merfolk, spirits, elves.
I could see that. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't know too much about modern, as I said. But moving along from black into red, the top of the order, the Robber of the Rich.
No.
This card I've played against it. It's pretty good. It's a 1 in a red, so 2 mana for 2/2 with reach and haste. So 2 mana 2/2 with haste. Not sure why it has reach, but who cares? When it says whenever Robber of the Rich attacks, if defending player has more cards in hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attack with a rogue, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though there's mana of any color to cast it. You should note that this is also a rogue. So it's a 2 mana 2/2 with haste for those kind of aggro decks that also gives you card advantage. It's like a Thief of Sanity from your opponent's deck. I think it's pretty powerful, but you seem to not like it.
Are you gonna play it with Rankle?
Hell yeah.
Because Rankle's also
Hell
a
yeah,
rogue.
why not? Rankle, Master of the Prankle.
And then Robber of the Rich.
Yeah, I don't know. You can play it with Thief of Sanity. You're just taking all your opponent's cards all the time. And you rankle just because it's Liliana the Whale.
Exactly.
Angel, you like this card?
I think it's good. The only problem is that people have with it is the fact there's not as many rogues, so you can't really take advantage of that
There's
ability.
Rankle.
Well, besides
Come on,
There's Rankle.
Draw with
other
treasure
rogues.
And then you put Embercleave on one.
You put speaking of Embercleave, this is my favorite of the big legendary equipment or legendary artifact cycle.
That's the great henge for me, bro.
We'll get to that pretty soon. So Embercleave is 4 red for legendary artifact equipment that says flash. This is 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. So if you attack with 4 creatures, this only costs 2 red. And when it enters the battlefield, it automatically attaches to a creature you control. And then finally, it gives the equipped creature +1/+1, double strike, and trample.
Rankle
so this
goes off twice.
Rankle, oh man! No, but I think what this is actually good for is this is essentially the kill shot for any deck that is running red or is aggressive. It's very much like Temur Battle Rage from back in Con Standard, like we were talking about before. It's just so hard to deal with.
Except this is permanent.
Because and this is also it's permanent. It sticks around if your little plan didn't work, and it comes in and it kills the opponent pretty much. It's like you turn a card that was being chump blocked, like a 3/3 that's being chump blocked, into all of a sudden, an 8 damage worth of trample out of nowhere, or something that was unblocked that was kind of weak. You're turning into huge. It's a pretty big game, I think, and then it sticks around, which is pretty good. You guys think this card's gonna see a lot of play?
I think there's one deck currently using it. 3 copies in the main.
Yeah, which one?
It was a deck that I think that got 5-0 to replace in a tournament earlier this week sometime. It was like a red-white Knight deck.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Knights is probably a deck that likes it because I seem to like equipment. Is there any other statements you like to make about Emmerich Leave before we move on?
It's a good card.
Ooh.
Play it.
Okay, so we're not going over every single card in each color. The only other ones that I wanted to talk about were the Bone Crusher Giant and the Opportunistic Dragon. So if you guys have any other ones, you can speak up soon. But the Opportunistic Dragon is 2 red for a 4/3 with flying. It says when it enters the battlefield, choose target human or artifact an opponent controls. For as long as the Opportunistic Dragon remains on the battlefield, gain control of that permanent. It loses all abilities and it can't attack or block. So it's a 4-mana 4/3 flyer, which is an okay value. And if your opponents are playing artifacts or humans, which I'm not sure how prevalent that is now, but in the future maybe some decks of those kinds come up. This is a card that's a 4-mana 4/3 that straight up just shuts down something that your opponent's doing, which I think is pretty powerful. You guys like this card?
I wish that it could do more besides just hit humans and artifacts. Mainly because if you're also just running a deck that cares about sacrificing your own stuff, you can actually take more advantage of it.
Okay. But I mean, do you think it's good with these those big legendary artifacts that come out? I have seen some decks that are playing the Great Henge, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Good card.
I mean, it's good. It's just the fact that all I have to do is really just kill it to get back, because it is almost like a Bolivian ring, almost.
A Bolivian ring?
not a Bolivian ring, I guess.
A Bolivian ring?
That's just too much. I guess it just...
I'm photoshopping that too. So all these are coming in. Bolivian ring. It's going to have their flag.
Rankle's going to be...
Rankle is Liliana the Veil. And there's Bolivian ring.
Bolivian ring.
Treasure Cruise from Throne of Eldraine.
I don't know.
They're on the cruise.
Wow. Anyway.
I wish like you could take something where it's like, I wish I could do more, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I just think maybe it's a sideboard card, or maybe if artifacts or humans actually do become prevalent in new sets, that might be pretty good. The other card that I want to talk about is Bone Crusher Giant, another one of the amazing adventure cards. Bone Crusher Giant. I think we went over it already, so I don't need to really read it through. I'll put it on there, but basically it's 2 mana for a skull, like a weaker skull crack, and then a 3 mana 4/3 that protects itself. I think that's just crazy value for an adventure card. It's good in the aggro decks. I think it's gonna be good in a lot of mid-range decks. That your removal spells are also threats. That's mid-range is bread and butter. Is that your cards do more than one thing and that they're efficient. I think that's what this is. Do you guys have any opinions on Bone Crusher Giant? You like it? You don't like it?
Good card.
Good card. Good card.
Good card.
Good card. Good card.
I have another funny.
No.
Do tell.
I don't want to hear
Fires of Invention.
Oh, you okay? I thought you were gonna say something.
No, it's a real card.
Another funny. Okay, sure.
No. Fires
of Invention is a real card.
Is a good card.
People are playing it.
What if you're playing against control? Right? What if you give it to control?
So
they can't counter your things and they're forced to play on
That's
their
interesting. But again, I don't think you can't use Oko to give them that.
You can't.
No.
Why? It's an enchantment.
Oh, it's an enchantment.
It's tough.
The only-
We don't have a real gift spell.
Where's the
One.
gift
Which
spells?
The only one, or not gift, but there's
Exchange.
There's the Is It one where you can exchange as long as they're same permanent
Roll
type.
reversal.
Roll reversal.
Oh.
The only problem is the fact they have to have an enchantment now.
Yeah. Is there any way to give them an enchantment? This is so bad. All these decks are terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
I'll figure it out later.
Anyway, Fire's Invention is good. It restricts you to your turn, but it gives you an insurmountable mana advantage. Do you guys anything else want to say about Fire's Invention?
It's a good card. Played it for playing creatures.
Okay.
That's all. It's you. What you do is you play the giant for its adventure, and then you play the giant.
Anyway, Angel, do you have something to say about that?
Torborn.
Okay.
Torbjorn?
I can talk about Torbran,
It's
the
a good
Thane of
Torb.
Redfell.
What are you talking about? It's Torborn from Overwatch.
Torbjorn.
Just look at it.
I've never played Overwatch. That's your guys' secret.
But it's good. He's playing, I think, in the Cavalcade decks.
Okay. Yeah, it adds the additional 2 damage.
Yeah,
That's
so-
pretty good.
Ping, ping, ping,
Yeah.
ping,
Ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping. Yeah. So I think that's good. I'm not sure if it has too many other homes yet, but of course time will tell. The only other red card that I'd like to go over before we move on is the Scorching Dragonfire.
No.
It's the essentially replacement for Lightning Strike because I believe that's gone.
What the heck is this?
Lightning Strike might come out in Theros. Scorching Dragonfire is 1 in a red for an instant. Deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Notably, it doesn't hit players, but it does say if that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile instead. It's like an instant speed, kill creature, or it can hit planeswalkers, and it also has the exile effect, which I think is like a really good. Because before, it can't hit players. That's the only difference. But I think a lot of the times in the decks that I want to run, especially, like I run a Jeskai Planeswalker deck we're going to talk about soon, you don't really care about hitting the other player that much. And getting the exile off it means that you could play this instead of Lava Coil. And Lava Coil was a good card, but the sorcery speed really brought it down a lot. So this card is a great replacement, I think. I like it a lot. Do you guys like this card?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
one more card.
You have one more red
Just
card? Sure.
Honorable mention. 7 dwarves.
7 dwarves, yeah.
The
That
7
is
dwarves.
there is that notable. I told you guys about it earlier, but for the audience that don't know, I apologize. I don't really know the name of the streamer. I saw it offhand, a little clip on the subreddit, but the streamer was playing 7 dwarves in Mirror March, some sort of deck like that, and it was pretty funny. They got something like 36 win flips and got like a bunch of dwarves and swung for a lot. I'll probably put a link to that somewhere if you guys want to check that out. Pretty funny clip. Yeah. So without further ado, we're gonna move into green, so we can.
My favorite color.
So we can talk about Friendly's favorite color.
The Beast.
Surprisingly,
Go first.
your favorite color is not blue, considering your favorite card is in blue. Treasure Cruise. But if you do you want to lead the way on the green?
It's the blue.
If you want to, Fernley, I'm going to hand the reins to you, so you may talk about your favorite color.
Questing Beast.
Uh-huh.
Good card. Play it. Great Henge. Good
Whoa,
card.
okay,
play it.
whoa.
Yorzo.
For-
Good card. Play it.
Man, you're really gonna
Play it all.
You're really giving me a lot of work to do here.
Just take it back.
All right. Take it back.
Pull it back. Cut. I'm just kidding. Tell us about Questing Beast. Tell us about the card.
It is all right. 4 mana for 4/4. It's 2 green meadows. So 2 and 2 green. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. What else do I have to say? It's also can be blocked by 2 or less. That's just a plus. They can't be chumping it. Combat damage that would be dealt to a creature you control can't be prevented. Sorry, by the creature you control. So can't prevent any damage. No fogs up in here. And then whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to a planeswalker they control. So you don't have to attack the planeswalker. You can just attack them.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong card. The fact that it's legendary is interesting because it just seems like the name is not legendary, but you can only have one of these out at a time, which is very notable. It's just a strange medley of abilities. Like every time I play against it, it's like it does that, it does that. It's so hard to remember what this card does.
It's haste, Death Touch.
Definitely very pushed. It's very interesting.
It's a good card.
Yeah, it's for sure.
It's you have to play.
Yeah, if you're playing green or mid-range strategies, this is definitely a card you need to look out for.
Yeah.
Speaking of green mid-range strategies, the Great Henge, the one underneath it.
The Great Henge. All right, this is also a good card. 7, 2 green. It's a legendary artifact. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So
this comes out pretty cheap.
It could be pretty cheap depending on what kind of deck you're playing, and if you're playing it in the right type of deck, it's just 2 mana for something that makes 2 mana.
Oh.
Its tap ability, add 2 green, and you gain 2 life. So
that's pretty good.
It's
advantage.
Yeah,
without the rest of
it's advantage in mana and life. And then it also has another ability that says whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter in it and draw a card. Some much needed draw card in green because it kind of feels sad every time you play green.
So I think green, you're losing with the mono green deck. It was losing a lot, but I think it's gaining a lot more. There's in a way of card advantage in Henge, and also there are other green creatures you can play. You're losing Galta, but you're gaining another card here that I think
There's a lot of
is
cards.
a lot of better.
There's a lot of
do you want to touch upon the Feasting Troll King?
You want
real
me to
quick?
talk about that before you
Yeah,
go?
real quick, yeah.
All
You
right.
want to talk about the
Before
King? I think the
Yorgo.
King is the one that is actually seeing a lot of play right
The
now.
King, the Feast,
Both are, actually.
Troll King.
Okay.
So we got, he's Vigilance Tramp. Oh, hold on, let me do mana cost first. He's 2, 4 green, so kind of heavy into green, but again, mono green. It's a 7/6 Vigilance Trample, and when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, you get 3 food, sacrifice 3 food, and you can return Feasting Troll King from your graveyard to the battlefield. You can activate only on your turn.
I have to say that last ability is so backbreaking. Playing against an arena, like you're trying your best, you're doing your best in your strategy, and you have all your good removal and stuff. It's just like, without Vraska's contempt anymore. Wow, this guy's hard to deal
There's a
with.
bad exile, isn't there?
There's a bacon to pie or something, like bacon to food or something like that.
No, I think that's a kill. There's this Epic Downfall.
Epic,
3 or greater.
epic downfall.
2 mana sorcery. Exile target creature would convert a mana cost 3 or greater.
Sure, but I mean, like,
Yeah,
you're probably not main decking that, but this thing is just.
it's too good.
It's a lot. It's a really good card.
7.
It's also surprisingly not legendary.
Nope.
I guess there's more than one.
Play
Feasting
as
Troll
many
King.
as you want.
Wow. As many up to 4. And did you want to touch upon Yorvo?
Yorvo. So I feel like he's pretty. Nobody I feel like talks about him, but Yorvo is a 3 green. He's in the whole legendary creature 3 mana cycle. But enters the battlefield with 4 1/1 counters.
So it's a 3 mana.
So it's a 3 mana 4/4, already pretty good for green. And whenever another green creature enters the battlefield under your control, you put a 1/1 counter on it. And if it's bigger than Yorvo after he gets the 1/1 counter, he gets another 1/1 counter.
So I mean, you only need to play one creature for this card to be insane. It's
Yeah.
like a 3 mana 6/6, which is pretty good.
And it just gets bigger as long as you keep casting things, or you don't even have to cast them; they just have to enter.
So Angel, you were saying that you said people are playing this card?
What? Oh, Great Henge?
He's looking at the
Yorvo.
Gilded Goose.
Are you playing Yorvo?
Oh, no one's playing Yorvo.
Oh,
But he's a good card.
He's a good card.
The Great Henge was...
Yeah.
The Great
I've
Henge.
seen both of those for
But a
sure.
good
Mono
card.
green is definitely really strong right
I
now.
don't know. There's a lot
But speaking of mono green,
Yorvo.
I'm trying to
You
segue
want to
here.
go into the goose?
I don't really want to go into the goose. But if you want to talk about the goose.
You want to talk about?
If you want to be the
goose?
guy who did something to the golden goose.
I stole it.
Stole the golden goose.
Obviously.
Gilded Goose.
The
It is,
Gilded Goose.
The one green for an 0/2 flyer. Because when it enters the battlefield, you make a food token. You could pay 1 and a green to tap it to create a food token. You could tap it, sack a food, get a mana of any color. So it's the new mana dork, but it's based on a food mechanic. You guys like this card?
It's bad. It's not as good as it should
Dang. I think it's pretty good with the food mechanic if you're playing Oko and the
Yeah,
Control King.
still.
So it's alright. I'm not saying Oko is that great.
be. I don't
personally
like having
don't
to
like it
pay
that
2
much.
mana just to get a food token.
Yeah, but it makes one when it enters, right?
Yeah, but still.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, I'm personally not too hot on the card either, but
What if
I've seen it. I've seen
instead
it.
I just play another Feasting Troll King. Why- if I want food, I'm playing another one.
All right. Do you have any opinions on this card, Angel?
I think it's pretty good. You can use it to get a turn 2 Oko. I know most people just immediately just turn into a 3/3 the minute they just bring
That's
in.
not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, I don't know, but I like to think of it more as like a utility because with this and Oko, you can every turn you can make a food and then you can just turn it into a 3/3.
See?
So you have a repeatable.
Yeah, it's definitely if you're playing the food synergized deck, it could be pretty good. But as just like a ramp card, I'm not too sold on it.
It's all right.
Without spending too much time on the Gilded Goose, you guys want to talk about any other green cards in particular?
There's honestly.
I know Once Upon a Time is seeing play, but it's not too
I
interesting in my opinion.
I can just say a bunch of card names, honestly, like Beanstalk Giant, seen play in ramp decks just to ramp ahead,
Yeah,
and then just beat to death. Wicked Wolf in that food strategy you were talking about. When it comes in, sacrifice food tokens, give it +1/+1, makes it indestructible.
It's not bad. It's not bad. We do apologize if there's any ambient noise going on. We don't exactly have like a real studio. We can throw up the picture I just took earlier of our setup. It's an interesting setup, but it's in my apartment.
And the last card I wanted to touch on was Love Struck Beast, just in those token decks. Make a 1/1 and then play turn 3, 5/5.
I've definitely been pretty beat down by that card on Arena a few times. It's in the mono green deck. It comes out of nowhere. The only thing I will say about it besides that is there's a funny. I didn't find this out. It was posted before, but there's a funny reminder or rules text on the Gatherer page. If you want to check it out, I might just put a screenshot. But it says the Love Surf Beast can attack even if the only 1/1 is itself. Like somehow it becomes a 1/1, and it's the only 1/1. It could attack, and then because it figured out that it could love itself, it figured out self-love. I just thought that was pretty funny.
Well then.
By not being a beast.
Ooh. Yeah, when you're 1/1, you're no longer a beast, right?
He's just a regular guy.
You guys want to move on to multicolored?
Can I just say one more thing? His
No.
Wildborn Preserver.
Get out of here. Just kidding.
Wildborn Preserver. It's a 2-mana 2/2 with flash and reach, so it's an okay
There's
card.
a lot of interesting random reach.
Whenever another non-human creature enters the battlefield under control, you pay X, and then if you do, you put X 1/1 counters on it.
I heard
It's like a mana sink.
It's
like a good mana sink.
a person that we know, who I don't know if he wants us to name drop him, but he goes by the name Bevan Bailey. That's his alias. He thinks this card's gonna be really good in the Simic Flash deck. I haven't seen too much of Simic Flash since the rotation, but again, I haven't played too much. I think this would be pretty good in it, seeing as it's missing Merfolk Trickster from before, just a straight cost replacement, and it could be a pretty big game alongside Brineborn Cutthroat. Do you guys like this card?
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
it's beating me down in drafts. It's just like, oh, they're sinking all their mana into it. Oh, I feel sad.
It's a pretty interesting mana sink, especially in decks that like are playing on your opponent's end step and you don't know what you're gonna play.
No, you do Fires of Invention. Right before Fires of Invention, you play it, you cast creatures for free, and then you just dump all the mana
See,
into
that's
it.
an interesting alternative look at it. Yeah,
and
it's a pretty good card. We're not doing ratings, but I give it a 7 out of 10. That's my rating.
7 out of 10 what?
Bing bongs. I don't know. Stars, treasure cruises. 7.
It's too many, man. It's too
How many
many
delves
too.
runs Treasure Cruise? 7. So I'll give it 5 delves out of the 7 of Treasure Cruise. That's our ranking system. How many delves out of 7? I give that. I say this is 5 delves out of 7.
5 delves is nice.
Anyway, moving on to multicolor. You guys want to? So we're obviously, like I said, not going to talk about every card. But we should probably go through the Planeswalkers. So, anybody want to run point on the Royal Scions?
They're sad. On to the next one.
Wow. Angel, would you like to run point on the Royal Scions?
The Royal Scions, 1 of anything, 1 blue, 1 red. Has 2 pluses. The first one draws you a card, or loots for you, so draw a card, discard a card. Second one pumps a creature, +2/+0, and lets them gain first strike and trample until end of turn. And the -8 lets you draw 4 cards, and then it deals damage equal to the number of cards in your hand to any target. Starting loyalty 5.
Okay. Do you think this card is a good card? Is
No.
going to see a lot of play? I have seen people play it, but I will say I was not impressed for sure.
It's good right now. Honestly, I feel like it'd be good in the future. Right now, where it's at, it's not gonna really have an impact.
Okay. Yeah, but like I said before, a lot of these cards are gonna change their value and their worth is gonna change based on the cards that come out. That this card might be good in a blue-red strategy that we don't know about yet.
This deck, I mean, to be fair, like one of the things to also remember about these cards is they'll be standard legal for about 2 years.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, beyond that, I think Fernley is pretty interested in talking about the next one.
No, I want to talk about the Royal Scions for 1 second.
Royal Socket.
The Royal Scions for 1 second.
Sure.
We put this in the mirror deck. The ultimate will kill them.
You draw like 30 cards on your turn, and then you ult and you kill them. Okay. This deck,
It's all coming together.
It keeps coming together.
It keeps coming
the plan comes together.
It's making itself.
Wow. Okay. What was that?
I don't know. Somebody turned
All
on
these
the
strange noises, and I don't even know what's happening.
It's all those aliens you let move in.
Oh no! From the raid. Now they know. I guess if you wanted to talk about science, I guess I'll talk about Garruk, Cursed Huntsman. 4 green and a black for 5 loyalty. Planeswalker Garruk. He is a 0 and no plus. Create 2/2 black and green wolf creature tokens with when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garruk you control. So he does kind of have a plus. When the Great Wolves die, he gets plus. He has a -3 to destroy target creature and draw a card.
So
Pretty good, pretty good. It says when you get an emblem that says that has creatures you control get +2/+3 and travel. So he starts at 5 loyalty. If any one of the wolves die, you can use the ult. So that's pretty good. His minus is pretty good. You destroy a creature and draw a card, and his plus or 0 makes 2/2. So it's pretty good value. It's a good mid range card. But I think where it falters is that it's competing with Liliana Dreadhorde General right now, and that card is just way better. Like the static ability in Liliana alone is just, I think, a better card than this, and Liliana deals with more creatures. So I think you might run this in conjunction with her, but I definitely think this doesn't take her spot in any decks, at least right now.
I want to play this with the Orvo, so that the 2 wolves entering just give him 2/1/1 counters.
Yeah.
It just gets really big.
I guess. I mean, there's some interesting play you could do with Garruk for sure. But I just think that in the real competitive vacuum, if you're trying to play this with mid range, you're kind of making a mistake.
They're probably
I
splashing.
mean, if you're
black.
playing them against each other, Garruk's probably just gonna win out.
You think so?
Yeah, because Garruk just makes two tokens. Lily only makes 1.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm talking about like in the mid range deck, right?
Yeah. But
Like
yeah.
you make two wolves or whatever, and then Liliana just minuses and kills them, and also Liliana's still drawing cards up of
Yeah.
that.
I almost forgot about that. I forget that most of those planeswalkers just have static abilities. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, the static on Liliana is just crazy.
Is it not? Does it have to be a real creature or is
Any
it just
creature.
any creature?
Yeah, even the zombies that she makes die, you
That's
draw a card.
dumb.
It's really good. Without spending too much time on Garruk, Cursed Huntsman, we're gonna move on to Oko, the Thief of Crowns.
Yoko.
Angel, if you want to talk about this one.
Sure, Oko Thief of
Thief of Clowns.
I was about to say clowns.
It's a thief of clowns.
What Photoshop
Joker
is this?
just came out.
Oh,
the thief of clowns.
society.
Photoshop for me. Just put a big red nose on it.
This
nose.
podcast is gonna come out like 3 weeks from when we record it. It's gonna take me so long to rewatch and figure out what I need to edit in Photoshop.
Alright, Oko Thief of Crowns, one of anything green, blue. Has 2 pluses as well. Has a +2, create a food token. +1. Do we even talk about what food tokens do? Should we even say that?
Food tokens is a new mechanic. It came out in Throne of Eldraine. The food tokens are artifacts that say 2, tap, and sack, gain 3 life. But there are many cards, much like the energy mechanic, that interact with treasure token or food. Well, I mean,
Treasure
some
is
people
another rotation.
treasure
tokens.
foods. That's those little golden coins that people with chocolate in them. People
I
get.
have them at home. I eat them.
Fernley eats them apparently.
Yes.
Food tokens, they interact with other cards such as Oko Thief of Clown. No, you got me.
Thief of Clowns.
Oko Thief of Crowns interacts with them. Lots of creatures interact with them. The food tokens, they're just tokens that we made. That's the food mechanic in a nutshell.
I hope you know you just gave me the idea to get chocolate coins, and every time I sacrifice a food token, I'm just going to eat one of them.
Oh my god, wow. Okay.
Continuing on it. +1, target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes a green elk creature of base power and toughness 3/3. -5, exchange control of target artifact or creature you control and target creature an opponent controls with power 3 or less, and it starts with 4 loyalty.
Do you guys like this card?
I like it, honestly. I feel like the way people
Such a stat.
are using it, it's like pretty aggressive. I feel like
Okay.
you have to
making random artifacts and creatures you have turn into 3/3s.
Well, I mean, it's like people immediately turn the goose to a 3/3, and I think it's like there's no reason to do that. I mean, you get a 3/3, cool, but I feel like you might as well just make that. You might as well just plus it right away to get that food token, and then you could just start like building an army. Because with the goose and Oko, you can just like every turn, like if you're doing nothing, you can kind of just flood the board with 3/3s. Just slowly start making them out with the goose and Oko alone.
Okay.
I know some people are playing. I've seen a deck where they use like the Dreadhorde Invasion, the enchantment.
Mm-hmm. And
So-
the 1/1, the army that you keep making,
Yeah,
turning
so-
into 3/3s.
So you just keep turning the art. Yeah, you just keep making 4/4s every turn essentially.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Like-
I think that Oko might have been a little overhyped, but it definitely does have a lot of play. It requires you to have planning and synergy to work.
To be fair, it was like really hated at first. Everyone
Really?
hated it.
Mm.
It recently just got like.
I think a lot of
hype.
people that I talk to, at least, maybe I'm not as privy to the online scene, but a lot of people I talked to were like, "Wow, this is so great, greatest Planeswalker," and I was just kind of thinking, I'm like, it's okay.
It's a
Yeah,
Planeswalker.
it's all right.
It's all right. It's pretty good with.
It's one of the
certain
better
cards.
planeswalkers.
It's ever.
No.
How does it rank against?
I'm
rank-
saying
Rankle-
it's better than.
How does it
Royal
rank
Silence.
against Rankle of the Veil?
Rankle Shanker?
Rankle Shanker of the Veil.
Rankle Shanker.
Anyway,
It's better than the Royal Silence.
you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot.
And Garrick is like that middle ground of not too good, but pretty good.
I think Garrick is just fine. You guys want to talk about any other multicolored cards in particular?
There's that dumb enchantment that makes a creature every turn.
The Outlaws Merriment?
Yeah.
I think that one's quite silly.
It's
Tis
interesting.
a silly place. Outlaws Merriment, that's 1 red, white. Beginning of your upkeep, you choose at random. You get a red and white creature token with, it's either a 3/1 with trample and haste, a 2/1 with lifelink and haste, or a 1/2 with when this creature enters the battlefield does 1 damage to any target. So this is the Robber of the Rich and his merry outlaws.
It makes rogues.
And his merrymen.
It makes rogues.
It makes rogues, which are good with Robber of the Rich and slightly good with Rankle of the Veil.
Only one of them's a rogue.
Yeah, it's
Shut
the
up.
one that it's the one that ETBs the deal damage. But like honestly, it's okay. It's not a bad card.
My only worry about it is there's just no. I don't see like a shell that this wants to go in. You know what I mean? It's like the aggro decks probably don't want to play a 4-mana enchantment that doesn't do anything until the next turn.
Yeah, but it does everything. It does 1 every turn.
I suppose. I don't know. There might be a home for it, but I'm just not too sure about it right now.
You play it with Doom Foretold. You sacrifice the tokens.
Anyway.
That
Non-land, non-token permanent. Speaking of Doom Foretold, if we want to go over
cry.
Doom Foretold real quick in case anyone wants to know.
You do.
All right, Doom Foretold. 2 of anything, 1 white, 1 black. Enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-land, non-token permanent. If that player can't, they discard a card. They lose 2 life. You draw a card. You gain 2 life. You create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Then you sacrifice Doom Foretold.
Do you guys like that card?
I mean,
It's interesting.
if your opponent, if I don't know, if you're playing a deck that doesn't have as many permanents and you can't keep up with it, you're eventually just gonna sack Doom Foretold on your own.
Well, I feel
Is he-
like you're fine.
No, because if you sacrifice Doom Foretold, then you don't get any of the benefit.
Let's see.
At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices If that player can't, they discard a card.
So it forces you to sack Doom Foretold. So
Yeah.
you also have to make sure that you have more permanents.
As long as you sacrifice it, you do the effects.
No, it has to be like. It has to be where it's they have to have nothing, just so you get the effect. That's what it says.
All right, yeah. Well, we don't want to spend too much time on Doom Foretold. I actually personally don't like the card that much. I think it's kind of a weird effect. I think people were playing it, but
Fabro.
moving on. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to talk about Fabro Elder, the new blue tender. So 1 green white for a 0/0, but it gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control. So it naturally comes in as a 2/2, and you can tap it to add a color among permanents you control. For each color among permanents you control, add a mana of that color. So it's automatically taps for 2 mana, and potentially could tap for 5. It could be a 5 with vigilance for 3, and taps for 5. I think that's pretty good. Do you guys like this card?
Yes.
I like it. It's alright. In standard, will it see play? It's probably hard to say. Maybe
I don't really know about that, but it's definitely a cool commander card for sure.
Yeah, for sure it's going to be very popular. It's pretty good. Very good, especially because it's cheaper now. It's like $3 right now, maybe, compared to Bloom Tender, which is like around 40.
That's a good point. I haven't had a chance to look at too many prices at this point. I haven't even opened up. Me and Fernley haven't even opened up the boxes that we have.
Or at least I want to say one last card, I guess, for multicolored, and then I'm done with it.
Sure.
Dance of the Mans.
Okay. Want to go over that one?
Super hyped. Yeah. X, 1 white, 1 blue. Sorcery. Return up to X target artifact and or non-or enchantment cards, each with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. The effects is 6 or more. Those permanents are 4/4 creatures in addition to their types, and then you have to play Be Our Guest, the song.
Do you? Is that a requirement?
Yeah, be our guest. Be our guest.
You wanna go through the whole thing? Yeah.
I think we
Let's
get
go.
copyright.
Oh, wait, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's
Be
if we
our-
ever made
Be
one.
our visitor. Come to here and have fun. That's
In our
that's what-
hotel.
in our hotel.
Definitely not a castle.
Yep.
Definitely not.
Anyway, that's all I want.
Artifacts?
Yes, artifacts.
I played against someone that was playing that card for their deck. They reanimated a Graver, and then I proceeded to play Fine Finality, and I just wiped all their board.
Nice. So they reanimated all their artifacts.
And then I just immediately killed them all. -4/-4.
Speaking of artifacts,
Oh,
we're gonna go into artifacts.
Yeah.
nice.
Sorcerer Spyglass, the reprint of the century.
I
Just
have
kidding.
one. I feel sad.
I think it's a good card. The new art is definitely a little bit more mystical than the old one. The old one, I think, was just a person looking through a spyglass. I think this card's actually good. It's a really great sideboard card, and especially in the colors that don't have access to stopping planeswalkers and things like that. That's usually what I use it for. Do you guys, so for me, say you don't like this card?
I have one. It's not a card that I would play, but I understand why it's good.
Okay.
I feel like it should have just been in the core set, honestly.
You should be in a corset.
But that's just me.
You should be in a corset.
What does that mean?
You know. You
should-
belong
they
in a
should-
museum.
Okay. Anyway, moving on from that, whatever that was.
Stunza.
The Stone Coil Serpent. It's X for 0/0, but it enters the battlefield with X1 counters on it, so it's just like the previous card, Endless One, and has reach, trample, and protection from multicolors. You guys like this card?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of shell do you guys think this is gonna be in?
Artifacts. I would say I'm looking at artifacts as I was thinking of running an artifacts deck. I was originally thinking it would be probably blue green, blue black, or just like Sultai colors.
I'm really liking maybe a mono blue or a blue black one artifact deck with Steel Overseer and the Tezzeret. I think that there's finally just enough cards to make it okay. I really actually like Ginger Brute, even though that card's kind of not great, just because it can give itself unblockable and push through. Do you guys like any of these other artifacts for a deck like that?
Let's see. I know people have just been running the Inquisitive Puppet.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because it could replace itself afterwards?
Yeah, and we also got that Scry.
All right, I can see that.
Which one? Witching Well?
That's an interesting artifact. It probably needs to be animated to be good. There's the blue card, the animated fairy, is a tune of blue, makes a thing to a 4/4. I believe we touched upon it earlier. Is there any other artifacts in this little section that you guys think are notable?
Shambling suit.
Stop.
What?
Shambling suit.
He's just saying for limited because he turned it into a 7/7.
No, shambling suit.
No, that's the one that says power
Shambling
is equal
suit.
to the number of artifacts or enchantments you control.
Exactly. It's
Oh,
a-
Shambling Suit? Wait, where?
Yeah,
It's-
shambling suit.
It's usually it's like a 5/3 for 3, which is not bad.
Yeah.
I think the only other one that's actually notable is probably the Lucky Clover. It's a 2-mana artifact. Says whenever you cast an adventure instant sorcery, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. I just think that's pretty good. Could be useful in certain decks. You guys have any opinions on Lucky Clover?
Well,
It's
like
an okay card.
we talked about in the beginning, I'm trying to. I don't know what really said.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make like a storm deck per se with the adventure mechanic. Trying to see if I can make it work in some way, shape, or form.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's probably a fun deck. Maybe not super top tier, but it seems like it'd be interesting. Just like it's got its own copy effect. But before we wrap up our set review, we want to talk about the lands real quick. There's a cycle. I believe we already touched on one piece of it. We already talked about Castle Ardenvale, so if we want to talk about the other ones, they all are castles. We have Castle Vantris in blue, Castle Lochthwain in black, Castle Embereth in red, and Castle Garenbrig in green. They all have the same text. It says when it enters the battlefield, it comes in tapped unless you control an island, a swamp, or a mountain, or a forest, respectively. So for the blue one, it's an island. For the black one, it's a swamp. I think you get the picture. We already talked about the white one. It makes a 1/1. The blue one, you can pay 4 and tap it to scry 2. The black one, you could pay 3 and tap it to draw a card, then lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. The red one, you can pay 3 and tap it to give creatures you control +1/+0 until end of turn. And the green one, you can tap to add 6 green for 4, and then spend a mana only to cast creature spells or activate the ability of creatures. I think if we were going to rank them, I'd probably say the black one is the best. The blue and the red one and the white one are in that order descending, and then the green one is probably the least useful, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Well, the green one's seen modern play already.
The green one
so?
is good.
Yeah,
It adds just one additional green?
It makes 2 more.
Because they're playing, what was it?
Well, it makes 1 more, right?
It makes 1 more, but you know, what's 6 mana in modern that people play in green?
The giant,
Primordial.
the Titan.
Yeah, Primeval Titan.
Prime Titan, yeah.
Prime time.
Okay, I can see that. I just think, I don't know. I'm mainly usually am looking at standard.
Yeah.
Well, I guess all these cards are
It's still
good.
a good
All
card.
these cards are good because they have
Landscape.
very little investment for an extra ability. I don't know. I just personally think getting card advantage is really good.
I'm probably gonna try using Castle Green Greenbridge for
Castle Green one.
Castle Green one, yeah.
Casablanca. That's the white one.
Yeah.
Can we briefly talk about the hype over the black one and the art of it?
Oh,
I think all of these are based off of either real areas or areas in fiction. And the black one, people are saying, is either someplace from Game of Thrones or it looks like a Star Destroyer from Star Wars.
That's what I was listening.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
You know, don't hum too much of that. We're gonna get struck. We're gonna get struck down.
How many Disney songs can I sing during
No.
the rest of the
Bleep, bleep,
podcast?
bleep,
So we
Leave
can-
me alone. I think the last card we probably want to talk about is the Passage of Fable,
No.
aka the Fabled Passage, is the new fetch land.
No, it's not.
Except it's not.
It's
Yeah,
sad.
exactly. You can.
It's sad.
It's a land. You play it. You sack it.
It's a better.
You search the library for a basic land. Put it in tapped. Then, if you control 4 or more lands, you untap it. So
It's a sad.
it's a basic fetch land.
It's a sad
It's
fetch.
it's an upgraded Terramorphic or
A downgraded-
Evolving Wilds.
The downgraded Prismatic Vista.
Upgraded
Yes.
Evolving Wilds. Sad fetch.
Sad fetch. I mean, it's fine for standard.
It's a sad fetch.
It's good. I played it in my
You probably
deck.
don't want to play it in, a deck with too many colors, but.
I played it in 3. One of the things I realized is I had 24 lands in that deck. I needed to bump it up to 25 because you're still losing lands. And the deck I was running to had a pretty good curve to it. So the mana fixing was great, but the only problem was I also wasn't able to hit those land drops consistently because you are taking some lands out. I know some people say it doesn't really matter, like the percentage because of fetching, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I think the card is fine. I don't think it's like the best. Obviously, it's not going to see play in every deck. There's already shock lines are still there, which are pretty good, and this definitely doesn't get them. So it's a big strike against it. But there are a lot of. I think it actually might see play in some monocolored decks, simply to thin lands because there's no downside besides if you're playing it early.
Yeah.
I guess Fernley doesn't really like it that much.
Meh.
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 That's our review for Eldraine. Woo! We got all the way through it. I've actually this entire time been trying to keep track of how long we're going because I have no idea, but I think we've been doing a pretty good job of keeping it along. So there is one more part to this episode: the potatoes, the meat and potatoes.
Potatoes.
Our deck ideas and what we think the meta will look like and what cards from previous sets we like the most. I think we should each just go over a deck that we like or we're thinking about. Probably the Magic Mirror Oko. Oh, no.
You don't even have to play Oko. Just
We already
play well.
went over that deck
Play the
at length.
play the raw sign.
Play both. Why not? Teamer, Magic Mirror. This is probably what deck we actually want to play or ones that we are talking about. I was personally, like I said before, I play a Jeskai Planeswalker Super Friends. I was playing it in 4 rotation. I think after, it's still pretty good. It's pretty interesting. I just replaced the Lightning Strikes with the Scorching Dragonfire, and it plays Narset, and it's got Teferi and Sarkhan the Masterless is the Wink Edition. It's pretty fun. I'll put a deck list up. Hopefully I'll remember to put a deck list up, and you guys can check it out. Angel, is there a deck that you were looking at playing for the standard?
I have like several deck ideas, but I'll just keep with the Storm Venture deck I'm calling it, where it's just like Teamer colors, Storm deck, trying to use adventure cards to get there. I sent you like my deck list for feedback. But one of the things that I just realized while I was going through the deck was that I have Edgewall Innkeepers in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize. I thought it was like when you cast the adventure, you draw the card. But it's when you cast a creature from exile after you adventure. So I need to replace that for just card draw or something. I had to figure out a better replacement because.
Okay. Well, we'll throw a list up and
Yeah.
people could take a look, but maybe it'll be fixed by the time we get there. I'm not sure, but definitely a list of that will be up. Firmly, is there any deck lists that you're thinking about for this format?
Thinking of mono green splash black for planeswalkers.
For the Garrick, or
For the Garrick and the Leona.
okay, I can
Why
see
not
that.
play
The
that
mono
one?
green has definitely been really strong. I played against it a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, and I think black would be important for
Some
interaction.
removal,
That's one of the
some
only
planeswalkers.
problems that the deck.
What's going on?
Hey, there's a little break in the recording. I think the
Well,
there's some sort of because I just got back Adobe Premiere Pro, and I think there's some sort of setting that limited the amount of recording, and it cut it off a second. So all we were saying is,
Yeah, it's hard to predict what's actually gonna happen. I guess so. Like Monday, if goal decks are still reigning supreme, fourth of the meta, then yeah, we're stuck with that.
yeah.
We probably aren't. I don't know. Like I said, I have several decks that I'm looking at. Storm deck is the one I really want to get to work. And then the Sultai deck. I'm building like a Sultai deck, Sultai mid range with Oko, Vraska's, Troll King. It's like a Sultai food kind of.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some interesting deck lists that are coming out, but the main thing is we got to wait to see what the meta is going to be like moving forward. If we have any lists available at that time, when I'm putting this together, we'll throw it up for you guys. You want to take a look. But seeing as that little interruption has given me insight, we're actually have clocked over 2 hours.
I had a feeling, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's been I think we had a really good episode, a lot of good conversation. But I think at this point, it would be pertinent to not waste too much of our listeners' time. If we want to move to our outro, maybe there's a transition, maybe there's not. Do another little noise. So, the first part of our outro, we want to thank you all for watching and listening in our good 2-hour plus episode. We do appreciate everybody who checks out our stuff and follows along with us. If you want to check out some updates of what we're doing, or mainly just check out some Magic the Gathering memes, you can find us at MMMTG278 on Instagram. You can also find us on our new subreddit. I put together a subreddit for us just in case people prefer to absorb content that way. We're going to post some of the memes that we make on the Instagram. We're also going to post our videos when they come out. You can also interact with us there hopefully pretty soon. We do have a Twitter. It's a little bit dead right now, but if anybody wants to contact us there's that too. And eventually we're going to have a Facebook page. So do look out for us on social media. We do appreciate it when people interact with us and reach out with us. And there's definitely a lot more content coming soon. We're going to have gameplay, Magic the Gathering Arena gameplay, Commander in real life. We're going to have box openings, different sealed product openings, and apparently some videos where we play a Magic Mirror deck. But anyway, you guys have anything to say before we sign off?
Check out the inventor.
Check out the inventor. Yes, thank you. You have anything to say, Mr. Angel, before we go?
This has been I.
This has been I with MMMTG Podcast.
And the mirror.
And the Mirror. Thank you all.
Wee.